Well, you got to give them credit. That one felt concerning early, but to close off this road trip with a comeback victory against the Winnipeg Jets, no matter how you want to shake it up, it feels good. It feels good to get that win. Not just to close out this road trip, not just to take 5 of 8 points on this road trip in one that has had some disappointing moments, no doubt. Utah game on Tuesday where you lose 6-1. The Vegas game on Thursday where you let Vegas come back into that one, tie it up with 7 seconds left. You fall apart. You lose in overtime. To have this one against the Jets where you come back in the final game of this road trip and what has been a long road trip, and you win this game, it feels good. 1-1 on a road trip is positive, as Nickel City official Nickel City Grunge says. Yes, it is. And before we go any further, just quickly here for people, I see the comments from like Donnie Does Dishes. Donnie saying, "Isn't Winnipeg in last place?" It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what place any team is that you play against right now. You need wins. You need points badly. And the Leafs won tonight. Because had the Leafs lost this game, we all walk away extremely frustrated. Extremely upset that you now win against Colorado, probably the best win of the season, and call it quits for the rest of the road trip. You have to win the games. And all you could do is win the games ahead of you, and that's what the Maple Leafs did here tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. So we will break it all down here tonight on the Postgame show. If you want to call into the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. The call-in option will be open momentarily, so get those likes and get those subscribes in. We will open up the call line to anybody who wants to give their opinions on this Maple Leafs victory tonight. And I mean, look, it's just the trolls and the sick people in the chat. I can see are the ones who are trying to find a way to bring this down here tonight. Donnie also saying it wasn't a long road trip. It was 8 games. It was out on the West. You played against a really, really good team on the Monday night. You played against a good team on Thursday night. You played against actually a pretty good team on Tuesday in Utah as well, and then you closed it out against last place team, sure, but you had to win this one. You went down, you came back up, and you won this in overtime. And for that, I am happy with this. There's a lot to get to here tonight in terms of positives and negatives. Just a brief glimpse into what we'll be doing throughout the course of the show. I'm certain that at some point in time, Morgan Rielly will be a big topic of conversation. I think defensively, the defensive side of the puck in general will be a big topic of conversation. But on the positive side, you got to also look at the third line, for example. Easton Cowan, Nick Waugh, Nick Robertson. I thought they looked really good again here tonight. I thought Matias Maccelli has been absolutely buzzing. I think OEL has really elevated his play. I actually think Brandon Carlo has looked good. And then the King Daddy Topper, the one that's probably the most important, because I don't know if you go on any type of run at all if this doesn't step up or if this doesn't happen. And that's Auston Matthews has been a man possessed over the last 11 or so games here, basically dating back to December 23rd. All of a sudden, it looked like Matthews is a different player. Overnight, he woke up one day, whatever it was he was ailing from was healed, and all of a sudden, he was a guy who was ready to take over. So, there is a lot of positives tonight. There's a bunch of negatives, and we're going to get into all of that throughout the course of tonight's postgame show. A reminder, tonight's postgame, as always, is a presentation of Bet365 as well. You want to get your super chats in, you want to get your questions or your comments for tonight's game, send them in via a super chat. You type the message you want to send there by clicking that little dollar sign. You select the amount that you want to send, and then you send off your super chats. I will answer and read and get to every single one of them. So whether that is questions, if it's comments, if it's hot takes, anything, we will break them all down here tonight. So send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity, Canada's #1 research-intensive children's hospital, and #3 in North America. I mean, look, there's no negatives. We won. Okay, I'm sure. Let's get some of these negatives out of the way, and then let me get to positives, because I'm not going to do like negative Nancy post-game show here at all. I don't feel negative about that comeback, about an overtime win and getting 2 points. I don't. And just as it was pointed out earlier, I forget who said it, but 2-1-1 on this road trip, it's much better than what it would have been had you not gone to overtime and had you actually not won this game in general. You know, you look at 1-1-2 or 1-2-1. That's a much different feeling than coming away with 5 of 8 possible points on this trip. A scheduled loss in there as well. It's 5 of 8. You've got to be happy about this. So let's do negatives. First of all, the one negative I have tonight, and I don't want to spend too long on it because I don't think for 60 he was terrible. I think for a decent chunk he had some good moments, but I think the overall problem with him and what we're having, the reason we're having this conversation, and it's been coming up so often lately, is because the negative from this guy has significantly outweighed the positive, and that's Morgan Rielly. He has been a serious negative for this Maple Leafs team over the last little while. You know, there's been a couple different games where we've talked about Morgan Rielly being a guy that they have to kind of play through and play better than and try to figure out, you know, a lot of times we talk about, hey, you got to outscore your problems in net and outscore your goaltender. It hasn't really been the goaltenders here. Obviously, they've had a couple of games or goals where you're like, maybe that one could have been better. Maybe they could have had that one, but it's mostly been Morgan Rielly. You know, there's been a few -4 games, the Utah game, the Islanders game, and in a couple of those, he's actually looked atrocious. There's been a couple different times where Morgan Rielly has been a sole reason for goals against, for game-tying goals, for losing games. Like, Morgan Rielly is a negative, and there are a lot of positives from this comeback victory against Winnipeg. There's a lot of positives from making sure that teams around you in the standings aren't going to gain ground or aren't going to be able to open up the gap here on you. But Morgan Rielly has been atrocious. There's been a lot of times I've watched Morgan Rielly and actually felt like Morgan Rielly is borderline unplayable at this point. He's lost a step. He looks behind the play. He's always looked lost defensively, but his offensive side of the game, getting up in transition, breaking pucks out, as well as his feet, have been able to kind of counterbalance or counteract the problems he brings to you in your own zone. It feels like over the last couple of years, that's slowly deteriorated. And I don't know if it's just the scheduling and how much these guys are playing in such a short period of time this season, which I know every team is going through right now. But in particular, Morgan Rielly looks like he's having a tough time dealing with this. Morgan Rielly looks behind the play. He looks slow. He looks lost. He looks like he can't play defensively. He's not contributing offensively. He's a weak defender. He can't win battles in front of the net. Like that Nino Niederreiter goal, sure, there's other things around it that you look at and go, okay, could have cleaned that up, could have made sure that didn't happen there to lead to the shot from Schenn, to lead to the goal from Niederreiter. But this is back-to-back games right now, where Morgan Rielly loses positioning and loses a physical battle in front of your net, where a guy just spins off of him and scores. The first one is Keegan Colasar against Vegas, where he doesn't have his stick down on the ice. He's trying to box out, but he has no ability to win a physical battle, and Colasar gets pushed nowhere, stands right there, and just turns around, puts his stick on the ice, and buries the rebound that comes out right to him. That one is Morgan Rielly could have been a left-handed shot, getting his stick down onto the right-handed shot stick. This one obviously a little more difficult because Niederreiter goes to the opposite side of Rielly where he's on the left hand. He's a left-handed guy with his stick to this side. But yet again, Morgan Rielly, stick at his waist, standing there, just holding on to it, trying to push Nino Niederreiter, and Nino Niederreiter just stands there. He can't be moved. He can't be pushed. He can't be boxed out by Morgan Rielly in particular. And Niederreiter just spins, grabs a rebound, and scores. It obviously doesn't come out off hill to be there. It just pops down, but he grabs that one, buries easily. There's no contest against Morgan Rielly. He gets whatever space he wants. He gets whatever time he wants, and he's able to score. So, again, there's not an outrageous amount of negative to come out of this game, but I couldn't go through this show tonight and not talk about what's going on with Morgan Rielly and how atrocious the guy has been on the defensive side of the puck. And to be honest with you, the fact is he hasn't actually provided anything offensively, anything of substance offensively. Look, okay, hold on. One more thing. I don't want to just do this pile-on thing on Morgan Rielly tonight, but it's pretty evident to me, and maybe it's exhaustion, maybe it's fatigue, I don't fucking know, but Morgan Rielly also, he might be the worst defenseman in the NHL at holding the puck in the offensive zone. I don't know if it's just because I watch him so much or because I'm watching this power play like a hawk and just over-analyzing everything that happens because they've been so bad for most of this season. You're kind of just scared that they can crawl back into that deep, dark hole that they were in early on where they couldn't find a way to get anything going. They were giving up chances. Rielly just can't hold pucks in. He can't maintain possession in the O-zone. And I keep looking at guys like Carlo, like Stetcher, like OEL, even McCabe at times, who's struggling a little bit right now. But even looking at those guys in the O-zone, how many times do they pinch or activate down the wall on a weak side where the puck gets rimmed around and they go in to try to hold on to the puck, try to hold the zone and keep things in? And it's like, okay, they maintain the zone, they extend an offensive zone possession, and they keep the play alive. Rielly just can't do that. He's losing races to pucks. He loses physical battles. Oftentimes, the puck just gets chipped past him, and then he's too slow foot speed-wise to turn around the other way and get back. This guy is just a black hole on the ice right now, and I've made the reference of, like, David Kampf was a black hole of offense. Like, if the puck went to his stick, gone. The play was over because he had no offensive upside. Like, Morgan Rielly is a black hole of good play right now. When he goes on the ice, whether you're looking for a defensive shift or you're looking for something to happen offensively, this guy finds ways to suck the life out of the shift. I'm sorry for negativity here. 13 minutes into the show, I've done like 9 minutes on a negative thing that happened. So let me go the other way and let me do a positive. Auston Matthews, I believe here now has 10 goals in the last 11 games that he's played. It's not just the goal scoring. It's not just the fact that he's finding the back of the net. Auston Matthews is actually starting to look consistently, and I want to make it clear, consistently more like himself. And when I say consistently, I mean he had those flashes where he had some really, really good games and some really good moments, but then you got to keep asking yourself and keep wondering because you need to make sure that that's a long-term, sustainable thing from Auston Matthews, where it's like, okay, he played well here. He made some good plays. He had some good shots. He had some good chances. Can he keep this going? And I'm not just trying to say I doubted him, but he had a full season last year where it was basically just bad games and okay games. And that's kind of relative, obviously, because he put up a 30-goal season still when talking about that. But Auston Matthews is just back. This is enough for me to look at Auston Matthews and say, Auston Matthews is back. He is a powerhouse offensively. He's been great in transition. He's helping out a lot in the defensive zone. I watch this guy come over the boards. I watch this guy with the puck on his stick. I watch him in transition, and I feel, again, like Auston Matthews is a threat every time he goes on the ice, every time he touches the puck. And I feel like that is the Auston Matthews of old. Scores again here tonight. I don't think the goal itself was one of those ones where, he went bar down, but I don't think it came off of a shift for Auston Matthews is more what I'm saying, where it was like he was hounding and then scored. And that's not a negative on him. I just mean like that shift wasn't like, holy shit, look at him. But beautiful play by Domi. Finds Matthews coming down in the slot, rips that thing bar down past Connor Hellebuck, of all people, and rips that thing. And it's like, dude, that is Auston Matthews. And then you watch the rest of his game. You watch everything else he does throughout the remainder of the 60. And it's like, he's effective in battles. He's effective in the back check. He's effective on breakouts. He's supporting down low really well. Auston Matthews looks fucking awesome. This is 11 games here now of this body of work where it is undeniable to say, as a Maple Leafs fan, this guy is back. You know, it might not be a 69-goal Auston Matthews. That might be too far. That might be the peak of his abilities. But he is playing like the guy who at least was scoring 50 to 60 every year and making an impact at both ends of the ice. Auston Matthews is fucking unreal right now. He deserves all the flowers in the world, and I just wanted to give him that credit because I was really happy about what we saw early on when it seemed like he turned things around. But there's always a part of me that worries that this is a flash in the pan. Maybe something happened over Christmas or during leading up to Christmas, and he felt better and he got healthy. But then what happens? Does that wear off? Is it like a shot of adrenaline where things are going well and then he kind of falls apart a little bit or slows down a little bit? Not the case right now. Not the case for Auston Matthews. He looks really good. Really, really fucking good. And I could not be more happy with the play Auston Matthews is bringing both sides of the ice. Actually, you want one negative on Auston Matthews? If you are a Canadian, it is a negative that Auston Matthews is playing this well as we're about 2 weeks away from the Olympic break because he's about to go captain Team USA and he looks this fucking good. So yeah, that's the problem. But Auston Matthews has looked unreal. I'm going to go one more negative, and I'll go back to a positive, and then I'm going to open the call lines here, and then we'll get to a lot more stuff here on the post-game show. So I don't want everyone to call in and load things up and have to sit here forever, so I'm going to wait a minute before I open the call lines. One thing quickly, I got to make sure we're analyzing the game as a whole. I'm not just going to do an entire jerk fest because they won. There's positives and there's negatives, and I'm going to touch on all of that. Despite what, L. Hacker, who was crying having to watch Mitch Marner play in a different uniform on Thursday night, and despite what he wants here on the postgame show, there are negatives. So I did see a comment from L. Hacker, who is probably still struggling to see what happened in tonight's game through the tears in his eyes because of old Mitchy Poo on the other team on Thursday night. But he says, what do you want to do? Sit Morgan Rielly? That's such a loser attitude. I'm not talking about sit the guy, take it away. I'm saying he has not played well. So you either need to shelter his minutes, take ice time away from him. You need to find him a better matchup situation. You need to use him strictly in the offensive zone. You need to start him in the offensive zone. I don't know what it is that you've got to do, but the way he's being utilized right now, he's getting exposed. He plays 18 minutes and 55 seconds tonight. It's the second least of all defensemen, which I think is best case scenario, but you can't have as much of that from Morgan Rielly because he's not contributing positively to your lineup right now. He's not. He's really, really struggling. So something's got to change. One more negative here and then positives. And also, wild comment here. Lord Olbermann, we did not need this confession. I get that everyone's happy and this is like a therapy session for Leafs fans after games, win or lose, but says we had a jerk fest in the Scouts. Lord Olbermann did not need to know that, brother. Did not need to know that. One more negative, and it's not really a negative. It's just more an observation. I have faith that this will turn around, and I have faith that he will get better. John Tavares has looked more like his age right now. John Tavares has looked a lot more like the 35-year-old guy who's playing in a condensed schedule and being relied upon as a second-line center. And to add to that fact, be the focal point of the second line with William Nylander not being there. You're just seeing not bad play, but slower. He looks like he's kind of lost a step. And I don't think that that's something that will continue for the remainder of the season. I think that once he gets a little bit of a break, once he gets some rest and gets some legs under him, I think JT will be fine. I think he is playing way too much right now. I'm not necessarily talking about TOI like per game, which is still pretty high, to be honest with you, but I'm not necessarily just talking about that. I'm more so mean in general. I think there's a lot of games that he's playing. I think he's being relied upon a lot, and I think that he's just slow. I agree with 6 1/3. JT after the Olympics, watch out. I know a lot of people in the chat are saying right now JT's washed, JT's cooked, can't play second line. I think when he comes back from this Olympic break and he gets this rest and he gets an opportunity to kind of reset and get ready for that final 30-ish game push, I think it is about into the playoffs, if they do get into the playoffs, but that 30-ish game push, I do think he will be a rejuvenated player. We experienced this with JT to a little bit of a lesser degree last year, but a similar situation. If people remember back before the Four Nations, John Tavares' play took a bit of a dip. And then I think it was a 2-week break for the Four Nations, I believe. And they took that time off. JT came back out of the Four Nations and was on fire. I kind of feel like this schedule with the 3 weeks is going to help. Moody says here, Zack, JT isn't getting any younger during the break. No, he's not, but he's going to get a rest. He's going to get an opportunity to reset. And I just thought tonight was one of those games where he looked slower, he looked older, he looked like he was a step behind. And you could see it there in that overtime shift when he tries to get up the ice. Again, no problem with Johnny T. I think it will be fine. I have no problem with him long term, but I do think he's experiencing the fatigue right now because this schedule is far more condensed than it was last year even. You're going to get a longer break. I think when he comes back, he's going to be good. So I am expecting a restart from JT, a little bit refreshed, and he'll be good to go. Okay, another positive, and then we're opening up the call lines. Mark from Oshawa, quickly, before I get to that positive. Mark from Oshawa, he is asked 8 billion times in the chat right now how to make a super chat with a message. I will explain this. Click the $, type your message, select the amount you want to send, and send it. Send the message, send the super chat that way. That's how to do it. If anybody else can explain it better than I can, please help Mark out in the chat. He can't figure it out, but that's how. Also, just to be clear, I'm not shitting on John Tavares. It's just, how can you walk away from this last 10-ish games and say that JT has looked like himself? It's not shitting on him. I've got no problem with him. And I think the way he played at the beginning of the season is what is giving me, optimism that John Tavares will be able to get it back, because to start the year, he had it. It doesn't look like he just came into the season and it was gone. He lost it. It looks like progressively over time, he just has worn down. It looks like he needs a break, and he's going to get one. So that's a positive. I don't have a problem with him. I just think he's looked slower, and I think he's looked a step behind the play. All right, one final positive here. I don't know where everyone else in the chat is back, or everyone else in the chat is at on this. But Easton Cowan looked fucking unreal tonight. I thought he looked really good in that Vegas game. He took that dumb penalty in the third period. He does make some rookie mistakes, but I thought Easton Cowan was flying tonight. He was creating chances. He was really quick in transition. He's not afraid of playing in any type of physical game. I look at the chemistry that he's built here with Nick Robertson, with Nick Waugh, and I think that they found something with that third line. It's a real positive because it allows you to spread out ice time. I mean, they brought it up during the broadcast, but you talk about your top guys all the way through the lineup. This year, it feels like more than ever, they've had an ability to be like, fourth line, go. Third line, go. Need a goal late. Third line can get it done. Third line can help out. Tied in one, you can rely on your bottom six. You can put them out. You can use Lawton and Lorentz to eat up huge amounts of penalty killing time and save fresh 5-on-5 time for Auston Matthews, for John Tavares, and get those guys out there. But like, the depth contributions you're getting from your bottom six has been unreal. And I think that Easton Cowan has brought this youthful energy, a level of skill, and a level of compete that this team hasn't necessarily had in their bottom six before, and especially from some of their younger guys. And then the combination of him and Robertson has worked extremely well. Like, Easton Cowan is a gamer. Nick Robertson has found a way to come into his own and find that B game. What happens if you don't score? What happens if you're not just a guy who's going to snipe every time you're out on the ice? What else do you bring to the game? Nick Robertson and Easton Cowan are complementing each other real well right now. They found this way to get this give-and-go game going in the offensive zone. They're really quick and tough to handle in transition, especially through the neutral zone. They're productive, especially in the neutral zone as well, off of regroups where they can just get up ice quickly after forcing turnovers. They backcheck their dicks off, and that line as well, just another positive to throw onto them. They've found a way to be effective in the defensive zone. Early on in Nick Robertson's career, I would have said that guy was basically like a no-fly zone in the D zone. He was not very helpful. He wasn't physical. Like, it just, there was a lot that needed to be worked on in his game. I don't know if it's just that he's listened to instruction. I don't know if it's that he's, accepted the fact that, hey, maybe I'm not a 40-goal scorer here. Maybe I can't put up points and score the way I did in junior hockey. So what else can I do? How else can I make an impact? But whatever it is that he's doing and he's adjusted, or whatever it was that he did to adjust, he's using now in games, and he looks unreal. Like, he is making a seriously positive impact every time he's out there. And he's found that chemistry with Easton Cowan here now. And the two of them are just fucking flying. It's fun to watch. Easton Cowan continues to grow every game. He just looks more and more like an everyday NHLer every single game. He still makes mistakes. He still has moments where you're like, that's a young guy's move. That's a young guy moment. That's a young guy pass. That's a young guy this, that, the other. And he's learning through those. But the positive is he hasn't lost confidence. He still tries. I say crazy shit loosely. It's probably not that crazy, but the fact that he's a rookie in the NHL and he's making attempts to do stuff, he's making attempts to, have spinoramas and beat guys one-on-one and toe drag guys at the top of circles. Like, the fact that he's doing those kinds of things and developing this patience and developing this confidence while also maturing in his game physically, mentally, it's a positive to see, because there was a lot of people, like some people who called into this show and insisted that Max Domi was a better player than Easton Cowan, who are probably having to eat some shit right now, having to watch Easton Cowan be this kind of player and grow the way that he is every single game. Like, the Easton Cowan is not a guy that you take out of your lineup right now very easily. I mean, you would have to add some significant pieces to bump him down and out of this lineup. All right. Calls are loading up, so I'm going to get to calls in one moment here. Before we do, just quickly, Super Chats I want to rattle off because people have donated their hard-earned money here. proceeds, again, from our Super Chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So just before we get to the callers, Super Chats. This fucker. Kilo James. Kilo. Call in anyways. Kilo, if Zack scapegoats anyone, I will call in to yell. No scapegoating. Also, we're just breaking down what happened. I think I'm being pretty fair tonight. I mean, people in the chat can disagree or call in if they want to, but no scapegoating. Also, and I think the comments about JT being slower and Morgan Rielly not playing very well are fair. Kilo James, Jay's hat and Penguins jersey behind him. Sigh this guy. That is not a Penguins jersey. I've got a Guinness hat, a golf hat. The Jays hat came from that empty hole here. This one. There's our Uber Eats bag. What else I got? An Elite Prospects hat, Leafs hat, a Raptors championship flag, Jays World Series flag. Oh, the yellow towel is a rally towel from the game we went to as a Leafs Nation, as a crew, in Nashville last year. It was a Leafs Preds game. I brought it home. I have a souvenir from the game. Sue me. More Super Chats. Max Entius Decimus. I spent my schmeckles in hopes Subazor calls in. Well, Subazor, please call in. Max Entius has sent in a Super Chat for you to call in. As well, 340 people watching here on the postgame tonight. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. The more likes, the more subscriptions, the more callers, the more chats, the more super chats, the better. The more this channel grows, the more people we bring in, and the more opportunity we have to bring in guests and more good content to you from cool places, different places, and the more opportunities we get here with you guys to bring you guys some better content as well here on the Leafs Nation. So keep liking the stream, and a reminder to people, you like the stream, it doesn't just bring in more people and help us out, which we do appreciate, but every set of 50 likes, we do the smelling salts. 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. I don't care how much it gets to you. We've had shows we've gotten to 550 likes on the post game, and I've had to do 11 smelling salts because we got that many likes. So keep liking the stream. Mark from Oshawa sends in a bunch of super chats there with no message, so hopefully Mark got that figured out. But thanks for the super chats, Mark. J-Rock, here's a negative. I got blacked out by NHL Network. Yeah, well, it's hard to watch hockey. That is a fact. Rick Robitaille also sends in a super chat. Nothing else. Zach Green, who I believe will call in momentarily, but he says, I was just about ready to write this season off. These 2 points are huge after the 2 losses to Utah and Vegas. Well-coached game, Poppy for Hart. Well, I have some concerns about game management from Craig Berube. And, you know, you talked about the 2 points tonight. And you talk about getting 1 point against Vegas. I think there were some moments you could have had in each of these games over the last little while where you could do things differently, where maybe it doesn't get as sketchy. Maybe you don't have to deal with overtime games. Maybe you don't have to deal with these games being so concerning or losing them or whatever, however you want to talk about it. But, yeah, there's some coaching stuff I don't love. But, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with the win here tonight. Robert Bett, for anybody knowing Toronto area, this team is like driving Forks of the Credit Road, Caledon, in the winter. Okay, fair enough. I am familiar. Mike Fammy, why the fuck is Philippe Myers playing on the penalty kill? Dude has no business being on the PK. Who else are you going to put out there, brother? You play Stetcher, OEL, McCabe, Carlo. You should never put Morgan Rielly out there. I don't know. Like, what? Why not? I guess where else are you going to play him? He also didn't play that much on the PK, all things considered. Well, OEL didn't play shorthanded, I should say. I should point out. You play Brandon Carlo for 2:13 of shorthanded time. Jake McCabe plays 3:18. Morgan Rielly, who should not be playing any, plays 2:03. And Troy Stetcher plays 2:37. So, yeah. All right. A couple super chats quickly to rattle off before he gets the call. Saucer pass from Nick Robertson OEL was a thing of beauty. Yes, it was. Mig 35.98. That came in from Mike Fammy, by the way. Mig, nice to win, but let's be real. Jets are a terrible team. We aren't contenders this year. Sell strong assets, OEL and co for pick prospects. Buyout 44, retool. Mig, suck my dick. How about that, Mig? We're not retooling if you can win games like this. I don't give a fuck if the team you're really good that you're playing. I don't give a fuck if the team you're playing is atrocious. You beat Colorado on Monday. You lost 2 points to Utah on Tuesday. You got one against Vegas on Thursday, which you should have had two. And you won tonight. A win's a win's a win. I don't give a fuck. And by the way, the problem you have is Auston Matthews is playing this well. So unless you're going to sell Auston Matthews and get this insane haul like a Quinn Hughes type trade, then what's the point? Because you can't retool right now with this team given how few assets you have in your cupboard, how few picks you have. Like, it doesn't matter. And by the way, the Winnipeg Jets are an underperforming team. They shouldn't be in last place, and they just rattled off a 4-game win streak. A lot of them being in last place has to do with Connor Hellebuck having missed a substantial amount of time. And if they lost this game, everybody would have been freaking out. So fuck off with the whole, oh, this team, no, it's Winnipeg. Yeah, okay, grain of salt, it's Winnipeg and they're in last place, but fucking grow up. Like, just sack up for 1 minute. Fuck. Like, we aren't contenders this year. The one thing I will push back and say, like, yes, sure, you're not in a playoff spot right now, or you're just battling in and out of a playoff spot right now, given the fact that everyone else picks up points every single night. Like, I understand that that's something you're working through, but how can you watch this and see what's happening in the Eastern Conference and be like, no, they can't do it. They can't get anything done. No, it can't happen. Like, 56 points on the year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Should have had a few more. They would be in second place in the Pacific, and yet Meg, you, and all these other people want to say, well, the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights, they're real contenders. 56 points. 56 points. You would be in second place in the Pacific Division. If that was the case, everyone would be like, this team's fucking ready to go. And no. You're in the East where everyone is all tight and you're out of a playoff spot. And so it's like, no, they're not contenders. Oh, you only beat the Jets. Come on. Mike St. Jean, record amount of overtime/shootout games in the NHL. Yep. I know. It's getting ridiculous. All right. We did hit the likes here, so I'm going to open up the call lines right after I do this, but we hit 50 likes. We're just shy of 100 likes here on the post game, so keep liking, but here we go. There you go. Supreme Lurker. Good point. Mig sits down to pee. Mig probably does sit down to pee. That's a sit down to pee comment. That's a sleep with your socks on comment. Mig either or both sits down to pee, sleeps with his socks on. You hate to see that. Okay, first caller of the line of the night. We've got a bunch to get through here, so I'm pumped up to hear from you guys here on the post game. I want to know what you guys are thinking, how you're feeling about this. You want to call in? Hit that link that is pinned at the top of the chat. So click on that one. Call in. There is a wait list, so I will say as well. Make sure if you do call in, you mute yourself while you wait so that you don't disrupt the people that are talking. But let's get to Zoom user. I don't know who it is on the line, but Zoom user is who we've got as the first caller. Who am I speaking to? Zoom user. If you called in and you are not using your name, Zoom user. Zoom user. Yeah, I got you.
How's it going, man?
Good. How about you? Who's this?
This is Robert. How's it going?
Robert. It's not bad, man. Are you in the chat at all, Robert?
Yeah, I'm Robert Humphreys in the chat.
Oh, okay. I got you. What's up tonight, Robert? How you feeling after this one?
Yeah, feeling good. I mean, I hate the way that the Leafs started the season, but you got to think with them going through the adversity that they have this season, that if they can sneak into the playoffs, which I think they will, you got to think that's got to be a positive based off of how the last 9 years have been and not dealing with as much adversity during the season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I do think I do think you need to get there, which is a concerning thing right now because of how tight this battle is in the Eastern Conference and everyone else picking up points every single night. But I do think that the adversity that they faced has helped them and will help them if they can get to the playoffs. It's tough watching these games and watching them drop some of these points because you're like, yes, the adversity will help you, but you dug yourself such a hole early on um, that it's like, okay, you can't really afford to just have games where you drop off or you just don't come up with the 2 points, especially when you're leading in them. But I agree with you. I think the adversity will help long term.
No, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate the adding me in here and letting me speak, but that's all I got. Go Leafs, go, baby.
All right, Robert. Thanks for the call. Quick, in and out. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, there you go. Robert Humphreys. Look at that. In and out for Robert. What a call. I like that. Come in here. Let us know how you feel. Answer the question. In and out. I mean, you want to talk for longer? Go ahead. But if you want to say one thing, you want to say 10 things, you want to ask questions, you want to give a hot take, I don't give a fuck. Call in. Let us know how you feel. Thank you, Robert Humphreys, from the chat for calling in. With that, let's get to our next caller. He's a regular here on the post-game show. Somebody who calls in when the games are at 7 p.m. for the most part. Let's welcome to the program Mando. Mando, what's up?
Hey Zach, yeah, sorry, I did miss all the after darks this week. I have
It's
to
all
work,
good.
unfortunately.
I know. I'm
But
just fucking with you. I don't
yeah,
blame anybody
I
for
know.
missing them this week. They
You know
started
what
at 1
though?
a.m. Eastern time.
You know what though? Like the Colorado game got me so like I had to watch the whole. I was gonna, depending on how the score was, if it went one way or the other, I would have probably dozed off. But it was so exciting. One thing I want to recap the whole week. I don't want to talk about the Mammoth. That was I think what Toronto did is they emptied the tank, and in Colorado at that altitude, it's tough. I think they emptied the tank. There was nothing left in Utah. So that one's a flush. I don't even want to talk about that game. But
Yep.
in general, if we look at Vegas and Colorado, the way they played, I've never seen them play this connected. Like the passing skills, and one guy that you mentioned or was mentioned was Michelli. He's definitely improved in that he's holding on to the puck. He's moving through the zones really good. He's hanging on to the puck and he's making plays. Like that guy. Like when he has the puck, it's like I kind of perk up and I say this is something's gonna happen. I always feel something's gonna happen because he's buzzing around there.
Yep.
Stetcher is also continuing to play very well. He was a dog again today.
Yes, he was.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Really good. I don't want to talk about Mr. Morgan Riley anymore because I think the consensus is, I think the best case scenario may be. I don't know if you want to comment on this, but the prospects of like a buyout. I know it's going to be kind of expensive. The cap hit's going to be, it's going to linger. That's
I
always the
see.
downside.
I don't think they do that. I get it. I don't think they do that. I don't think that's something they're interested in. Like, this is a guy that I believe they would just rather not have to get rid of and soak something, like a long contract problem here where you're gonna have to be paying this guy and he's gonna be against the books. I can't foresee that being the case, but
I'm just looking at Puckpedia, and it'll be about the buyout cost. Well, the cap hit for the first 2 years is going to be 3.5, and then it drops to 2 in 2030. So yeah, it's going to be. Mind you, you get the cap relief of the difference of that, like 4 million. I mean, I suppose you can use that elsewhere, but again,
I know.
finding a defenseman, you got to look at free agency. There's nothing in the cupboard, like you mentioned. It's tough. Like that's really tough.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
you're not trading for that guy is part of it. Like you're not going to be able to swing a trade for the type of defenseman you need with the assets or the lack of assets that you have right now. So it's not going to happen. That's part of the problem is in season. Maybe in the summer you find a guy, you find a trade partner and you can get it to work, but I don't think that this team can really afford to have trades where you're going to take everything out of the cupboards and make trades like that. I think you have to try to make a hockey trade to make it happen, but I don't know.
yeah,
I understand the frustration with him. I
yeah.
also am experiencing it, but I just don't think buying him out is really the answer here.
Yeah, no. I mean, this game kind of counterbalanced the Vegas game in a sense. Toronto had where it was up to 2-0, pretty late in the third, I believe, and they blew it. Here they came back, so they did the opposite. They made Winnipeg blow it. So it's kind of it offsets each other in a way, these two games. But I wish they beat Vegas, and I think they could have. But that one kid, Dorofiev, he almost had a hat trick, or maybe he did. The one goal got called back, but the one power play goal was just unreal, just perfect. Like the puck had to be in a perfect position between Wall having his pads there and the post. Like he put it. The timing of it was like one in 1,000. That one goal he made. So I mean, it's hard to pick apart Toronto and in the Vegas game. So, but I wish that would have been great, and I think they could have won it. That's one thing, closing out games that they have to work on. Their power play. I'm sorry, their PK. Their penalty kill is kind of not as great, and that was one of their strengths, right? Power play not great tonight either. Nothing going
Yeah.
on. That's a little bit concerning, mind you. They don't have Nylander. And I
Well,
want
I
your
would
opinion.
say
Yeah.
well, actually, wait, go ahead, because maybe you're gonna ask what I was gonna say. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was okay. It was just related to my question to you would have been like with Nylander, like
Okay.
what the f is going on with like it looked like it happened on his celly on his left leg or something.
Yeah.
I
So
want to get your opinion on what's going on there. Anyways.
okay, so they showed it on the broadcast in TSN. This is not my investigative research. They showed this on Thursday night against Vegas in the TSN broadcast. In the Ottawa game, it was beside the net in the one of the period. I can't remember what period he left in, but in that one where he left early, the defenseman, I think it was Clevin or Zub, fell on his leg, and his left ankle got caught,
Hmm.
and he sprained his ankle in that one. It seems like that was just a re-aggravation, or I know for sure it was a re-aggravation because they said, but it seems like on that celebration, it just caught, his blade caught and just twinged his ankle. I will say for sure that having hurt ankles and stuff before, if you don't like rest for a long time or rest those things for a while and you're just trying to get back, it's pretty easy for them to like get re-aggravated like that because you're always on it. You're walking around, you're skating, you're trying to get your cardio back. Like, this is not me being a doctor or like just telling you inside the brain of William Nylander. I'm explaining from my own experience. I've hurt my ankles before, I hurt my wrist before, and just not getting like proper care on it and just continuing about day to day. It's like pretty easy for you to do one thing wrong and it to go again because it's a sprain, not a break. Like a break, it just heals. Like it's a broken thing that heals. A sprain is like something that it doesn't necessarily just have a set healing process or time or whatever. You just got to do the best you can, but then all of a sudden it can just come back at any given moment. So I'm not gonna I don't know. I just giving him shit because it happened on the celebration, I think is just, it's kind of crappy thing to do. I don't blame him for it. It could have happened at any given moment in that game. It just happened to happen on a celebration, which is just the leafiest thing ever. Also, one thing I wanted to say about the power play, Mando, quickly, as you brought it up, the one part I want to give them some credit for, and they adjusted as it went on, and he became more of a focal point, which I think is one thing that we look at earlier in the year, and we're like, wow, why was this not happening? Why was this not more of a focus for this team? Is getting the puck to Auston Matthews and having the power play go through him. You can have other guys facilitate. You can have Matias Michelli and John Tavares be the guys who carry the puck and pass the puck, but having Auston Matthews be the goal of the final shot, the final point, or the guy who's going to be the biggest threat just makes sense. Like, the guy can fucking score at will. Why was he not the guy before that they were always trying to get pucks to on this power play? Like, if you make him that dangerous again, teams have to go out and play him more, and then he can find guys because he's an unreal playmaker. It hurts not having William Nylander because he opens things up where there's a shooter on both sides. But I thought, as that power play after the first one, which stunk, I think it was into the second one they had, that one looked a bit better because that was the one where Matthews was faking one-timers, was stepping to the middle. He was drawing Winnipeg defenders out. He forced them to kind of collapse back in. Like, that was, it did get a little bit better, but the power play has gone on a cooler here now. So maybe the whole Mark Savard power play thing we can just throw out the window.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they will figure out a way to really sustain a good power play, because that's really what's going to get them far into the playoffs. But just to leave off, one looking ahead next week, I'm circling Detroit because I hate those motherfuckers now because they beat us twice already. I mean, they're a really good team this year, but they don't really like it wasn't on my bingo card that these guys were going to be like at the top of the of the standings like they are. But I really want Leafs to win. I hope Nylander's circling that game. Hopefully he can come back for that at least. And they got to make hay now. They're at home. They really got to make hay if they're gonna catch up here and get into a good spot. I mean, the Habs keep winning. The Lightning, they're always winning. The Bruins are always hanging around. I think they're like points wise, they're the same, but they're above us.
No, they're ahead.
They're ahead
points wise. They got 58 points now. They won again. 5.92 win percentage. The Sabres holding the second wild card. They've got 57 points. One more point than the Maple Leafs, who have 56, and the Sabres have a 606 win percentage.
Yeah. And you got to realize some of these teams haven't really had like a losing streak yet. It always happens. Every team, so it happened obviously to the Leafs early this season. Hopefully some of these guys at the top get into a losing streak, and things will level out that way. I'm hoping. There's scheduled losing streaks for a bunch of teams that are at the top now. So hopefully that happens. And one last thing, a little bit political, but I don't give a shit. The Panthers are pieces of shit. I mean, that spectacle, with the red ties, they went to Orange Mussolini's house there, and I really hate the Chucks, and I don't give a shit. There's gonna be a lot of people on the chat pushing back. Motherfuckers, I hate those guys. But anyways, that's just my little rant to end this chat with you.
All right, Mando, appreciate it. Thanks for the call here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night, and look forward to having you back here now that the games are at 7, man.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Mando. There you go. Mando on the line. More calls to get to, more people to talk to on tonight's postgame. Just quickly before we do, another super chat does come in here. So let's keep reading those super chats that we've got here on the postgame show. Oh, maybe it disappeared. I thought there was one that popped in from Mark from Oshawa. Appreciate Mark for sending in those super chats. Mark, if you want to get your message in, I'll read those as they come. But we do hit 100 likes here on the post game. Thanks to everyone who liked, subscribed. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube as well. I found out Jay Rosehill is listening to the podcast. So if you guys are in the chat, listen just like Rosie does. Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you get your podcast platform or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to check that out. But here we go. More smelling salts, 100. All right. Okay. More calls here on the post game. I think we already had, I don't know if this is another one, but Zoom user again on the line. Do we have another Zoom user here? This is potentially something just messed up with the Zoom, but Zoom user. Do I have you, Zoom user?
It's not me, is it?
Yep, it is. Who is this?
Oh, it's Mark.
Oh, Mark, what's up?
Not much. I just happened to click unmute. I sent in a couple super chats, but I'll be real quick. I don't want to piss everybody off, but no, I was sending a super chats for their first time. I made a bunch of comments to do with the granddaughter that's with me, but when I do a super chat, it automatically says purchase, or you can just make your comment. So if I click purchase, it says put in my ID password, and then it takes the money, and then I can't make a comment. If I make the comment first, it doesn't let me purchase. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not entirely sure. So, maybe someone in the chat can help you out. I need to figure out how this works, but, maybe someone else in the chat can help you. I don't know, like Tammy's in there, Maxentius in there, Mike Fammy's in there. They're frequent super chatters. Maybe they could help you out and give you some pointers in the chat. But Mark, you got on the call line, so floor is yours, Mark. What do you got to say tonight? What do you think about this win?
I thought I'm going to talk real quick, and then I'll let the granddaughter talk. Because part of my super chat was to let the 13-year-old talk for a minute. But no, I thought the game was good. I mean, I thought Matthews had a good game. Honestly, when we went down 2-0, I was telling the granddaughter, game's over. Then Matthews scores. And then I'm like, we got to tie it a second. And then we didn't. And then when it was 3-1, I'm like, there was like 16 minutes left in the game. I was saying to my granddaughter, Leah, I'm like, if the Leafs can score in 6 minutes and make it 3-2, we got 10 minutes to tie it. We go to overtime, hopefully for a win. And she's like, yeah, that's going to happen. And boom, just like that, they tied. She knew. She knew. But you know what? I mean, I don't want to shut out Morgan Rielly as bad as he's been. I just don't understand the logic. Like, if I read it right, I think Morgan Rielly was paired with Myers tonight, was he not?
Well, I mean, there was some shifting that took place during the game, but he started and mostly finished with Carlo. There was movement though.
Sorry.
Troy Stetcher and McCabe went back together, which was nice. OEL at times was playing with some different guys. They did rotate guys through. I think some of that had to do with some of the late penalty kills and some of the power plays mixing things up, but they did start with Rielly and Carlo together. I believe that was the plan and how they tried to get things going for the full 60, but yeah, I don't know. Morgan Rielly's the guy right now. He's the one who's getting all the heat here in this market. And to be honest with you, Mark, it's understandable. You know, some of the situations they use him in, I just can't understand. I look at the overtime goal against Vegas. It's a bad decision by him to shoot that puck. You look at some of the games he's had over the past couple of weeks here now, the team's playing significantly better, and he's kind of just getting left in the dust as a guy who hasn't elevated his play the same way everyone else has. And then, you know, the overtime, I think he obviously should be able to contribute in the overtime, Mark, but this is another one where this guy he looks like he's making bad reads. He's in the wrong spots. He's like, it's terrifying whenever he goes out there for OT.
Yeah. I heard somebody in the chat saying they want to hear the young lady speak. She's kind of shy and doesn't know what to say, but I'll let her say briefly something. Go ahead, Leah.
Go ahead. Hi, what's up, Leah?
What's up?
How you feeling after this big Leafs win tonight? Are you a huge Leafs fan or what?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's my daughter.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. Well, who's your favorite player?
Matthews and Tavares.
Okay, so you got to see an Auston Matthews goal tonight. How's it felt getting to watch him score 10 goals in his last 11 games?
Good.
Yeah. How old are you, Leah?
13.
All right, so you got a long life of misery as a Leafs fan ahead of you. I hope your grandfather has told you that, but that's all it's been, Leah. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there's a lot of misery ahead of you.
Good.
All right, well, let me ask you a couple of things here, Leah, while we've got you on the line. I'm just going to ask you for a couple of predictions. So let's start with this. Do you think the Leafs make the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
Good start. Do you think Auston Matthews keeps playing as well as he is for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he will.
Okay, next question. Do you think your other favorite player, John Tavares, gets back to how he was playing before and he's a rock star for this team again after the Olympics?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and final question for you here. Final question, unless you got anything else after. Last question for you, Leah. Do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs can win the Stanley Cup this year?
No, not really.
No! I can't believe it. All right, you know what? Actually, I can't believe it because I also have concerns as well, but I appreciate the honesty, Leah. You got anything else for me here tonight?
I just think that if they would win the Stanley Cup if Marner was still on the team.
Oh my God.
Mark.
Oh my God. She's still young.
Mark.
Marner's great.
Mark.
She follows her nanny. Her nanny's a Marner lover too.
Mark.
Oh I married my wife. She's a Marner lover.
Oh my goodness.
But I have one final thought. But
Okay.
I was gonna say I heard a lot of rumors like on Facebook or whatever about Dougie Hamilton and the guy from Calgary. I'm honestly, I don't know if I said this before the last time I called in. I would just let the team play out. Like I know the trade deadline's in I think late February, early March. Like honestly, like unless you can get a top 6 forward, play the year out, make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs. Like just keep what you've got.
Yeah.
And then if you I don't know what happened. Can you still hear me? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, like play the year out. And if you get in the playoffs, okay, fine, make a run, do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't make the playoffs, okay, then spend the offseason doing whatever. Like I've heard people saying, "Oh, Stoley's coming back, let's get rid of him." Well, why would you trade him? Like I mean, Hildeby's been great, but I don't trust him enough, and he's never played a playoff game. And as far as I remember, Hildeby's not been that great when it comes to overtime. Like he was good tonight, yes. And I didn't realize till earlier why he was playing tonight till I found out we were playing Minnesota Monday, so I can understand why Hildeby's in tonight. But if you trade Stoley, for example, say Wall gets hurt 3 weeks before the playoffs, now Tree Living's got to go out and get a goalie. You know everybody's going to rape us for a fucking goaltender for picks. Like my last thing is is Danforth allowed to play for the Leafs right now? Like, can we bring him up, or are we not allowed to because of his age?
I think he can play. I think he can get brought up, but if he gets brought up, he just has to play.
No, but
like
that's
he
my
has
thing,
to be
though.
in the NHL. I don't think he's NHL ready though.
No, I get that. I was just curious because Philip Myers, I would rather see Danforth than Philip Myers. I mean, I watched Danforth at the Oshawa Generals, obviously, because I'm in Oshawa, but
right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting off topic here, but yeah, no, basically, I don't want to be trading guys away, making big fucking, but the thing is, we're trading players or picks and we're getting older fucking guys. Like, unless you're going to win the cup this year, great. Get Kadri, Rasmus Sandin, or Dougie or what,
Anderson,
Doug
Rasmus Anderson.
But you're not winning.
Dougie Gilmore, bring him back.
Right? No, but you're not winning a cup this year. Like, you're really not. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe you get in, you win the cup. Great. We're all happy. But chances are you're not. So why get these older players? Sorry.
Yes. No. I understand what you're saying. I'm in agreement with you here for the most part as well. Dougie Hamilton is the one that scares me. Not like the two defensemen scare me for two different reasons. Dougie Hamilton scares me because it's something I had been feeling for a bit about him, and I think they're experiencing it in New Jersey. I think they experienced it in Calgary as well. I think they experienced it in Boston. It works in Carolina because of the system. You can kind of hide it and get away with it, but even they were ready to move on from him. The thing with Dougie Hamilton is he can provide you a lot of offense, but it's something we've always worried about is like, or had problems with. No, well, not even that, but what does he do if he doesn't score? What does he do if he's not producing offense? He has a lot of defensive deficiencies, and he's not a physical guy. So he'd basically be like a more expensive Morgan Rielly who would come in. He's better than Rielly offensively. I'm not saying they're apples to apples here, but it's a comparison in regards to like, hey, the guy's more expensive. He can provide more offense, but he's also not the best defensively. So now what? What if he doesn't produce? What if he goes on a cold streak? Like the fan base will turn on him. Craig Berube's not going to be able to trust him, and then it's concerning. He's also a guy who can play on your right side, and when you look down the right side right now, you have Brandon Carlo, you have Troy Stetcher, you have OEL who can play the right side. There's concerns with that, and if Tanev comes back, he can play. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can look at that way. I think if Benoit's healthy, he takes Meyer's spot, and OEL goes to the right side. So those things sort themselves out right on the right side. The other thing I'll point out is with Rasmus Andersson, it scares me not because of the player. I think he's a really good player, but because of what the trade package would be. And kind of to your point, like, is Rasmus Andersson the guy who guarantees that you get into the playoffs? I'm not entirely sure that changes it because there's a lot that needs to happen here, even outside of the Maple Leafs. They've unfortunately kind of let this thing get out of their hands to a degree. Like, everyone around them gets points every night, so they need to keep winning, but they also need to hope that teams in front of them slow down a little bit. Like, it's a reality of the situation. They can go 800 for the rest of the year, but if the Habs and the Bruins and the Sabres just keep up their pace as well, then maybe they're not going to pass them. If they keep up the pace that the Maple Leafs are on, maybe they don't pass them, and that becomes a problem. So that is where the concern gets with that, where it's like, hey, are you willing to go on this huge hunt on Rasmus Andersson, a team that is obviously making your price more expensive than anyone else's, and you're saying, like, if this doesn't get better for us in terms of the teams in front, you trade for this guy, you might miss the playoffs by 1 point, and then you've gone and traded a lot of pieces to go and get a guy, and maybe it just doesn't work for the team. Maybe he could be a really good player, but that's the concern with Rasmus Andersson, where it's really expensive. Like, the rumor out of Boston right now of what that package could be, I'm not entirely sure the accuracy of it, but it seems to be a numerous different people saying this, is it's Mason Lohrei, who's a young defenseman. He has his deficiencies, but he's a young defenseman up and coming here. It's Poitras out of there, who's also another younger guy. And then it's the Leafs' first-round pick, which was sent in the Carlo trade, which that would then be flipped for Andersson.
Right.
That is what concerns me about that. So, that is my worries there. And I am pretty much in agreement with you, though, just in the fact that I think they should let this play
out
as it is. Get to the deadline, see where you're at. Because I would not make any trades before the Olympic break in terms of trying to make your lineup better. See what this group you have right now can do before the break, and then see what happens with health and some of these guys trying to come back and recover. Who knows? Does Dakota Joshua come back by the end of the break? Like, I genuinely have no idea. I'm not trying to say he is or isn't. I just have no idea. Maybe you get through the break and he's ready to play. Maybe Tanev gets some rehab done and he comes back and is ready to play. It seems very unlikely, highly unlikely at that. But, some things can happen with these guys where just all of a sudden you get a break in time where games get pushed back because he's not just missing the next 25 games that the Leafs have to play. It's going to get pushed because there's a 3+ week break for the Olympics. So maybe he can heal. Maybe he can get closer to returning. Like, it can change the outlook of your team. And then if you can get yourself to the deadline and you're in a playoff spot, okay, I don't have a problem with seeing what's out there and maybe trying to acquire a guy, but I pretty much agree, Mark. So I understand.
would you just to leave it on? I'll let Leah say goodbye after. But would you would you trade Solars regardless when he's healthy? And as far as I think there's at least 4 players on expiring contracts at the end of the year. I think it's Stetcher, Lawton, McMahon, and I'm not sure of the 4th one. But that being said, me personally, I wouldn't re-sign anybody to any deals until after the playoffs / whether you get in or not. And I wouldn't trade Stolars just because Wall's injury prone. And if you get rid of Stolars, then you're stuck with Hildeby / the younger guy in the Marlies.
Well, saying trade him regardless, no, it's package dependent. Like, what is the team willing to trade for the goaltender? Is a team desperate? Do they really need a goalie? Do they need a guy? Like, to say that the guy's untouchable or you can't trade them, I think is ridiculous. I understand what you're saying about the injuries and about not trusting guys or whatever, but like, Dennis Hildeby hasn't played in a playoff game. But you know who hadn't played in a playoff game until he did? Sergei Bobrovsky or, Vasilevsky. And I'm not saying he's those guys. But my point is, like, it's so easy to look at a guy and be like, he's never played in a playoff game. Well, like, so what? Like, some guy, like, you can't play in them until you played in them. It's like, he's
true.
never won a cup. You can't win a cup until you've won a cup. Like, you can't be a guy who's won a cup until you've won a cup, is my point that I'm trying to make. Is just, it's so easy for people in hockey especially to say, well, that guy's never won this. Well, that guy's never done that. Well, okay, when he does win it one day, when he does get it one day, like, then it's there. You have to do it for the first time. That's the problem I have with these pushbacks, or these concerns about guys. So I don't know. Like, yes, has Hildeby ever played? No, but could he be a guy who steps up and is unbelievable? Yeah, it's possible. Like, it's entirely possible. And then I know there's injury problems, and I know a lot that you'd rather have the depth. But again, if somebody calls you and offers something you can't refuse for Anthony Stolarz, why would you not take it? If somebody calls you and offers you a first-round pick that is going to be mid-round or whatever, and you're like, well, fuck, like, we don't have these right now, why would you not take it? I'm not saying for just a first-round pick. There's got to be some more to it, but, like, why would you not entertain these things? Why would you not entertain trades for guys? And then to the point about re-signing guys or extending guys, it's all dependent on what the future would be. If you're going to be in a playoff spot, if you're in a playoff spot by the Olympics, if you're in a playoff spot heading into the deadline, why not re-sign Scott Laughton? Why not extend Bobby McMahon? Just depending on the number. And one credit to Brad Treliving is I think he's done a pretty good job on the AAV that he's gotten a lot of these guys on. Yes, was Chris Tanev a long-term deal? Yes, but what did it do? It got the AAV down. He's gotten some pieces here, part of this team, whose contracts themselves don't kill you. Like, nobody is going to look at Nylander's deal or Matthews' deal and say that this amount they're signed for are terrible deals. They're not. They're good deals. He did a pretty good job there. He did a pretty good job on the Nyes contract. He did a good job on the JT contract, which obviously had to have help from JT. But, like, I don't think that, and even the Stolarz deal, like, he got him signed before the season to a reasonable price. Like, even with injury, Anthony Stolarz' deal is tolerable. It's not something you're sitting there going, I can't believe he signed that. Like, Kyle Dubas got to Pittsburgh and signed Tristan Jarry to a deal that was far too expensive, to be honest. Obviously, he's a guy who can play or is trusted in terms of, like, Edmonton went out and acquired him because they think he can help push them over the top. But, like, I think he's signed some pretty good deals for guys, and I don't think that if he gets into the room with Bobby McMahon and his agent or Scott Laughton and his agent, he's going to get absolutely rocked on these. So I don't have a problem with the extensions. But again, Mark, it just depends on context. Where are you at? What's the future of the team? If you think the team can be good next season, even if it's not good this year, and you think you're going to retool and get pieces, I don't mind extending Scott Laughton. I know that sounds counterintuitive because he's maybe a guy that can get value, but I think Scott Laughton is like the character of this team. I think Scott Laughton is the alpha. I think he's the guy who drives the bus. And I think that having him for that extra year on his deal is something that helps you. I think it's something that helps you in the room. I think he helps the young guys. I think he's a good veteran voice. And I think if your goal is to be good again next year, I don't have an issue with Scott Laughton. I think he can help get you to that next level and kind of do all the little things you need from a guy who plays in your bottom six. Bobby McMahon, I don't know, man. Again, it's just team dependent because he's a younger guy who could probably get you something back for a team that's going on a playoff run. And if you're not going to be good this year, maybe Bobby McMahon's not the piece you extend. But if you're trying to make a push, why not make the guy happy? Why not sign him to a contract? Why not expect the team to be good next year as well and have Lawton and McMahon re-signed? Again, right now, it's tough to say because you're 1 point out of a playoff spot. You're 2 points behind the Bruins, I think it is right now. I'll double check.
Boston just won tonight.
Yeah, so
you're right
you
on the
have
lot.
56 points, so I think you're 2 points back of Boston and 1 point back of the Sabres. But like, if you think you can get in, you think you're good, then whatever. Like, let it be. All right, Mark. Anything else?
Yeah, you were right on the Lawton thing, and as far as McMahon, I would re-sign Lawton now, given the ABV or whatever. I would re-sign him first, and the other person was Robertson. Like, I don't want to be quick to jump to sign these guys, and then wait till next year, and then go, oh, we there's a better player out there, and there's no money. But Stolarz, yeah, I like Stolarz. He's good when he's not injured, same as Wall, but if you could draw in a first round pick and a top 6 player or a good defenseman, then yeah, you have to consider it because, it's like a deal that you can't resist. You know what I mean? But I'll leave it at that. I just wanted Leah to say, I know some people in the chat were saying they wanted to hear from the young lady. So I'll let her say 2 pieces and then I'll let you go.
Here, one sec, Leah. Before you say your final thing here, take a look at the screen. I hope I spelled it right, but is that accurate there?
Oh yeah, he spelled it right. Yeah.
All right, there you go, Leah. Leah on the line. Floor is yours. Final statement.
What do you think's gonna happen?
I think.
The next game they play Minnesota on Monday.
Minnesota on Monday.
I think they're gonna win.
All right, give me a score prediction. I'm gonna remember this, Leah.
3-1 Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
3-1 Toronto. I'm holding that. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to remember it. When they win 3-1, Leah, I'm going to get your grandpa back on the line, and him and I are going to find out your favorite numbers, and we're going to go and buy a lottery ticket, okay?
All right.
All right. Mark from Oshawa, thank you. Leah, appreciate it as well. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and hope to talk to you guys soon.
Thank you to keep everybody on the chat too long. I apologize.
All right.
But thank you, Zack.
You're good. Thank you, guys. There you go. Leah and Mark from Oshawa. Appreciate that. All right, let's get to some super chats here before we get to the next caller. Quickly, couple of super chats. This one comes in from TVD59. Just says, test. Apparently making sure that the super chats work, and they do. J-Rock says, Leah for GM. That was amazing. Dagger to Zack. That was a dagger, though, to find. Here, they would be better with somebody here. J-Rock, biggest heel in Toronto today, Rielly or Bichette? I think the Leafs suffocate the news stream here in Toronto. I would say that the Rielly one is like he's the bigger villain because he's actually on the team, which is kind of funny. I feel like the Bo Bichette one, people for the most part kind of understand, maybe don't like that much, but at least understand. So I don't know, like maybe I'm wrong. I'm not as tapped into the Blue Jays market. If you want your Blue Jays content, Blue Jays Today is another channel we have here, a part of the Nation Network. Make sure to check those guys out. They've joined the show before. They've come on here to tee up World Series games. That was the World Series game in the watch along that they did, and we did a watch along before them. So make sure to check out Blue Jays Today if you're looking for more baseball coverage specifically for your Toronto Blue Jays. But next caller here on the line, our guy Max Entius Decimus. Max, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Another win here tonight from the Toronto Maple Leafs. 2-1-1 on the road trip. 5 of 8 possible points out there on the western-ish swing. You did a central game in there as well against Winnipeg, but you're picking up points still. You're not falling out of this race, so I am happy tonight, Max.
I just feel kind of rough right now because I feel like I'm going after Sidney Crosby right now with that last caller. Oh my god, I don't know if I can follow that up.
Leah was great. She was great.
They both were.
Mark was great too. Yes.
They said a couple things, so I'll run off a few things that I agreed with, or disagreed with maybe. Yes, I would trade Stolarz for the right price. I would sign Lawton. I love Lawton.
Yeah, I love Lawton.
Other teams are winning, so thank God we're still winning right now.
Mhm.
And I would do nothing and ride or die with this team.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with making a trade at the deadline if you're in playoff position, but I would not be going and trying to get extra horny if I'm Brad Treliving if I'm outside of one. I, for the most part, am like, let this group ride or die. If you can bring in some small help that doesn't cost you much at the deadline and you're in a playoff spot, you're in a wild card spot, have at it, go for it. I got no issue there. But otherwise, like, I'm not going nuts and trying to trade everything to pick up pieces. That's kind of my stance on this. So I'm pretty much in line with you, I think, there, Max.
Yeah. The other thing, Max Domi, McMahon, Michelli, they've been providing some much needed depth scoring. So I'm not too worried with Nylander being out a game or two or whatever to feel good.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either. And again, to reiterate, and not from a doctor perspective, this is from like a personal experience perspective. The ankle and wrist injuries are weird ones, especially if it's not a broken thing, if it's a sprain, if it's a strain, whatever you want to call it. Those are always weird ones because, like, any little thing can just set them off again without extended rest or extended rehab. You can feel all like 100% again. And then just like, because it's not been that long, it can just go again. You tweak it a little bit and it goes. Like, I mean, I'll say like, I had it happen in my final year of minor hockey. Somebody fell on my leg when I hit a guy, and as I was turning, my foot caught in the ice and turned while my whole upper body was still one position, and then someone fell on my leg, and I twisted my ankle and my knee, and like for a month after, basically until the end of the season, just any time I would get into like a little bit of a spot where it could twist or anything again, it could get pulled again and hurt again. So at this pace where it's the NHL rather than what I was playing in minor hockey, yeah, it's probably a whole lot more important to get rested. And if you can have guys like Domi, Michelli, McMahon, Cowan, Robertson step up and fill those holes and play the way they are offensively, like, yeah, it helps a whole lot. It helps to have a next man up mentality out of these guys.
You mentioned two names, and that's my next point is I think that Cowan has a lot to learn and has learned a lot from Robertson. I think that keeping them on the same line with a mature center like Waugh is so good for Cowan's development because Cowan is essentially very similar to Robertson. He can score goals. He has the shot. You know, he's very skilled at passing. But Robertson had to learn over the years that I got to do more than this. So I think that, like, more than anything else, putting him on the same line with Robertson will help him mature his game faster.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I haven't really thought about it that way. I do definitely agree with you that they are similar. I do agree they are like similar players. I think Cowan has a much higher ceiling, but for him to be able to, I'll go a different way because I don't disagree with you that he could learn from Nick Robertson. I think more so if he's learning, it's not the way he plays. It's about learning the pathway that Robertson took and understanding that. And if he can do that, then I think that that's beneficial to him because I think it took longer for Nick Robertson to become the player he is. And, as much as people in the chat wanted to say, hey, I always knew he was going to be this guy, I don't think that that's genuine to suggest he would be this player, Max. It took him learning that he has to have other aspects to his game, which I do think came with it's losing minutes, getting sat, being sent up and down until he kind of learned, hey, there's more to my game than just scoring goals. That's beneficial. And I think when you see Easton Cowan play, you can tell there's more to him than just offense and just speed. But I think it's beneficial to both of them that they get to play with a fast skilled guy right now. And Nick Waugh in the middle of them, to your point, is a mature guy who has been around for a long time. He's won a Stanley Cup. He knows what it takes to be in a winning locker room. He knows what it takes to play responsibly in your own end. He's a guy who can contribute offensively, so it's not like you're putting them out there with like David Kampf where they can buzz around all they want and create offense, and then it just gets sucked away by a guy who can't because you're like, well, they got to play with someone responsible. Like Nick Waugh can contribute offensively. He can get up ice in transition well. He can make plays with the puck. He can carry the puck well, which I think helps them. And then he can help defensively kind of ease over any of the mistakes those guys make. And then, it's just, they also just seem to work well together and have built up a chemistry because they're just guys who have to use their size and play a little bit bigger than they are sometimes, but use the small size that they have to their advantage, and they kind of seem to do it together. So it's nice to have those guys playing together, and they found a lot of chemistry together.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say is two things is with Cowan and Waugh being the center there. The reason why I'm saying is like Robertson is like Cowan in the fact that he's like young and skilled and stuff like that. But the reason why I say that he can learn from him is because I feel that more than any other Leafs player, he has been so pissed off trying to find a place on this roster that I feel like his mere presence will inspire Cowan to like learn and to just not be in Robertson's position. And that's all I'll leave you with.
Okay, I think that's fair. Max, I appreciate the call. I look forward to hearing from you whenever you want to call in. The call line's always open. I'm happy to see you in the chat every single post-game show. Happy to hear you call into the show as well. So thanks for this call again here tonight, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Maybe Monday after the game against Minnesota.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right. There you go, Max. You too. Maxentius Decimus. Great call, as always. See, that's agree, disagree. We got it. There you go. Another super chat that comes in here to the postgame show. Mark from Oshawa with this one. Finally figured out the super chats, it seems like. Attaboy, Mark. Mark says, thank you, Zach. Leah was nervous, but she had fun. Thank you for taking the time for us. We loved the show. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Loved the call, and I think a lot of the chat loved the call as well. Just before I get to the next caller, I do have something I want to read to people. I'm just going to confirm this quickly myself because I want to make sure that this is a real stat. So the Montreal Canadiens played the Ottawa Senators tonight. They won 6-5 in overtime. So again, teams, just everybody getting points. But Jake Sanderson, who had a goal and 3 assists. This is where if Leafs fans want to feel better about themselves or like players on this team or whatever, listen to this. Jake Sanderson had a goal and 3 assists. The Sens lost 6-5. And here, I'm just making sure this is right. Here's a quote from Jake Sanderson following tonight's game. Jake Sanderson post-game about the team's goaltending tonight. I think Levi Marilainen, who was the Sens goalie, made some good saves. But I think at the end of the day, you got to make more than 10 saves to win a game. That's tough. That's tough to hear. Feels good as a Leafs fan, though. I won't lie. Feels good as a Leafs fan. If you are watching right now and haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe here to Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 25,000 by the time we get to the Olympics. The Olympic break. I want to have that here on the post game and on Leafs Morning Take as well. So keep subscribing, keep hitting that like button. We've got 127 likes here on the post game right now. If we get to 150, we do more smelling salts. But before we can get there, We got more calls. He said it was a night he was going to call in. I saw him in the chat. He sent in some super chats that we read off as well, and then I saw him queue himself up. So I'm pumped up to have him in here. Let's welcome to the program, Zack G. Zack, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? Good name. Good name.
Good name, Zack. Good name, as always. How are you feeling after a Leafs comeback victory against the Winnipeg Jets tonight?
I was actually at work when I was watching it because I was just finishing up my shift. And
Right.
the only reason I say that is because I know Rosie is a firefighter now.
Yep.
Just want to say, since I'm a fellow first responder as well, I think I should be potentially brought in for a quick clip on Leafs Morning Take, and if not, at least a quick mention, because I happen to have went to school with one of his colleagues a long time ago. His name's Alex. He'll probably know who he
Okay.
is.
Okay.
And I haven't seen the kid for a while. He might remember me. Like this was like when I was like 17 in Ottawa. So I don't know. But anyways.
All right. I will pass that along to him, Zack.
Yeah.
I will pass that along to him.
Okay. And anyways, move on to the game. I like I said in my super chat earlier, like I saw them go down 3-1, and I'm like, I swear to God, if these guys blow this fucking game and they lose these 2 points, I don't think this. I think this is time to just call it quits and just sell everything.
Shut it
And
down.
then and then I watched the rest of the game, and again, like Matthews, man, just putting this team on his back. He's being the captain. We all thought he could be, or maybe we didn't think he could be. And I heard Kipper say something earlier this week about Matthews' comments about Mitch, and before the game. And when
What
I
did he
saw
say?
him, he said before the Vegas Golden Knights game.
No, I know the Matthews comments. I don't know what
Oh,
Kipper said.
yeah. Sorry, Kipper was just like saying that he was like classless and he should have done that. Nobody else would have done that. And like and Borney was arguing with him, McKee was arguing with him, and like I was on their side because like, man, when I saw him say that shit before the game, because I was afraid he was gonna say something else, like he was gonna like play timey sticks with this kid, and he says what he says, and he looks the way he looks, and then he goes out there and plays the way that he played aside from the end of the game. And I'm like, man, that was exactly what you want a captain to do, especially in Toronto, especially when he's getting so heavily criticized all year about being like take the C off him, all this other bullshit. Like, nah, man, he's the captain, and he's gonna go down as the greatest Leaf of all time.
So I will say this. I don't have a problem with him saying that, essentially. I would say, though, I think he could have said them. I think the message was fine. I think how the message was delivered could have been cleaned up a bit, and which is it's fine. Like, it is whatever. I'm not going to cause a stir about it. I disagree with Kyprios on that one if that's the case, but I disagree there. I just think the message could have been said a little differently. Like, there's another way you could do it to get the team fired up, but like I don't have a problem with that either. I also think it does set a good tone where it was like the bitterness of like, not bitterness that he left, but just where it could. Okay, so here's what I mean. I'll just say how I think he could have said it effectively. He could have just said, "We're focused on the guys in this room. We've talked enough about that. We're focused on winning the game," and then you move on, which effectively says the same thing. But also at the same time, Matthews has his own way of saying shit. So who cares? Like, that fucking guy, like, you know what? You want to have a rip on something? The Boston reporter, Joe Haggerty, who everybody in Boston, it seems like, they just produce the biggest homers in the history of homers to cover their team, which is not a problem other than the fact that these guys spend their entire time ripping on other teams and other media bases, saying how problematic everybody else is and complaining about everyone else. And yet these guys just spend the whole time sucking off their own team, which, again, fine, but don't fucking complain about everyone else. He jumps in and he's like, this is not what a captain is. This is not what a captain does. Your captain, until he was traded last year, licked people in the face. licked people's faces, like got in there and was suspended over and over and over and over again. So I don't want to fucking hear it. Yes, Zdeno Chara is a stand-up captain. Patrice Bergeron was a stand-up captain, but then you employed this guy to be your captain after the fact and had no problems when that guy was, and yet Matthews wants to come out and say something with a little bit extra sass. Like, who the fuck cares? Who cares? Shut the fuck up. I mean, he could have maybe said it a little differently, but I think the message is fine. It is what it is. Could have been said a little differently, but I think everybody who's here for this team and fans of this team liked what he said. And to be honest with you, that's what matters. It matters what the guys in the room say. It matters what his friends say. It matters what the people who watch and are fans of the team say. And I think most Leafs fans loved it. So who cares? Who cares? I don't give a shit if you outside the market don't like it. Everyone here, for the most part, seemed to like it. Let it be.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're 100% bang on there.
What else you got for me here, Zach?
Going back to the Vegas game one more time, like Willie comes in there 2 minutes, puts in 2 goals, gets hurt. And I'm like pretty positive that like he obviously re-aggravated the ankle, but it looked kind of like he could have pulled his groin, and I think he had a groin injury in the past. So like I kind of worried
Willie?
about that. Yeah, I think that's what they were saying.
I think I think it was an ankle, because I think that he had a guy fall on his ankle in the Ottawa game and the one that he left. The reason I say that is they pointed it out on TSN last time, and after the guy fell on his ankle, he was skating around like lifting his leg, lifting his foot, and then he ended up leaving that game. So that's why I say that. I'm just kind of going off what they said, but
that's fair.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I just mean like, yeah, I don't know, man. If he got hurt on that celebration, like, yeah, that kind of sucks, but it happens.
Yeah, like, you can't blame him for getting hurt on that. I don't think it was him doing something stupid on a celebration that got him hurt. It just was a bad, unfortunate accident.
Yeah, and then just about Winnipeg game tonight, like I think like fucking Callum looked really good tonight. I think he's starting
Agreed.
to come into his own a bit, and I think
I thought he looked awesome.
Yeah, and like everybody keeps saying how he's like gonna learn from Robertson and stuff. Yeah, because he's just a kid. He's still learning, and like he should have probably been on the Marlies this year, but the way that this season went, like they had to bring him up, and he held on to a spot. So it's like he's learning, but he's learning in the NHL. So his mistakes are gonna be noticed way more than they would be if he's playing in the AHL. No, like so you can't like he's got to be patient with his mistakes and stuff like that, because I think he's gonna turn into something else. And then the only other thing I want to say was about the coaching again. Like, I just mean, like, I thought tonight was pretty well managed overall. Like, there were some mistakes. Like, Berube keeps what he was doing before. He was playing these guys way too long. Like, Matthews was doing 25 minutes the other night, gassed in the OT. He can't move. Like, he's gone. Like, and there goes Eichel up the ice and scores. It's like, I mean, he's overplaying certain dudes because he doesn't trust certain people, and I think there's got to be some sort of like thing where like you have guys that are making so much money. If you start benching these guys, like whether it's the right decision or not, like the media is going to blow it up, and then they're going to start thinking like, oh fuck, maybe they're right, and then there's going to be a bunch of controversy.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, but I think there's something to that in terms of if he does, then it gets to be like a bigger conversation here in the market, especially. But what I would say is like, if they're the coach or the players of the team, I don't think they should listen to the outside. They should listen to each other. Like if he's got to change guys, if he's got to sit guys, whatever, it is what it is. You got to do that. Like if you think that's going to help you win, that's going to help you win. I think the one thing though here that we are noticing a lot more just on the ice time is how much more he's trusting guys than we've seen in years past. Like how many games did the fourth line go out and play 8 to 10 minutes. The third line plays maybe 11, and then the second and the first line play 22, 24, 20 to 22 minutes. And that's for first and second lines respectively. How many games did we see that? And then you just rely on those guys all year long. And then by the time you get to the playoffs, you're like, well, why doesn't the depth score? And it's like, well, you spent all that money on the top guys, so you have a front-loaded team, and then you wonder why your bottom six can't score or doesn't produce. And it's two pieces, right? Your top six gets shut down, and they always struggled to come through in the playoffs, and your bottom six wasn't constructed very well because you spent all the money on the top six. Now you don't, and now you have guys in the bottom six who are making a little bit more money. And I think that having more expensive pieces in your bottom six is a luxury. Scott Laughton is obviously on a retained contract by Philadelphia, but he's a guy who could be making more money or in terms of what your cap hit is than what he's making. And that's a benefit to you as a Leafs management staff or a coach, because you now have this $4 million guy who's like a third liner effectively on this team potentially, or a guy who could play second line center or wing in Philadelphia before, who now comes here and he centers your fourth line, and you can trust Scott Laughton to play 13 minutes and 11 seconds, 17 minutes in some of the games. He can kill like 99% of your penalty minutes when you get him. He can go out there and he can score clutch goals and stuff because you have a little extra money to spend on some of those guys. You've now added depth pieces in Nick Waugh, who you're getting a little bit more out of. You've got a guy like Nick Robertson who's elevating his play. You get some guys on some ELCs who are stepping up. So you're getting that contribution. You're getting those guys to step up. Even a guy like Dakota Joshua, I really liked his game until he got hurt. That's another piece that you just don't have the luxury of having in your bottom six previously. And now Berube, and again, you look at it in a game like this, like Zack, how many times could you count in the last 5 minutes that they're tied in this game or down chasing this one, and the third and the fourth lines are out there? And I don't find myself scratching my head saying, why are they out there? They're playing well, they can contribute, and there are lines that can cause problems in the offensive zone, and they're lines that can score. So, you're in a much more favorable position, and then you get that depth. Nick Robertson, assist. Matthews, goal and assist. Your big boys are paid to be your big boys. They step up. Ekman Larson, a goal and 2 assists. Amazing night from OEL. Easton Cowan, an assist. Max Domi, a goal and assist. Like, everybody else is contributing, and everyone else's minutes are elevating a little bit here, where you can rely upon the whole lineup, and Auston Matthews can play less than 20 minutes. Obviously he doesn't tonight, but in some of these games, and you can get other guys out there more. It keeps them fresh, it keeps them healthy, it doesn't wear them out, saves them up for the playoffs. This is a very long answer to your question or your comment, Zach. I apologize. I'm going to hand it back over to you in a second, but you're allowed to have depth and use it, and this is what they're getting out of these guys right now.
Yeah, man, 100%. And that's why I was saying that, because in the last few seconds in Vegas, when they blew it the last 7 seconds with that broken stick play, who was out there? Lawton was on the bench, man. Certain guys were on the bench that shouldn't be on the bench, to defend a lead. Just start throwing OEL over the boards first with somebody else, and then. Yeah, I heard somebody say something about Rielly's partner tonight, Myers. What the hell is he doing? And with Rielly, because how is he gonna protect him, right? You need somebody else to kind of shield his game, because that's kind of what Rielly
I
needs,
don't
right?
I don't like the Myers Rielly pair. Whenever they get on the ice together, I sit on my couch and clench for 40 seconds until they get off the ice, because it's a scary combination.
Yeah, exactly. And people are talking about trades, and I agree with you. I probably don't want to trade anyone until after the Olympic break, if you're going to do anything, because you got to wait and see where we're at. And I don't think you want to blow the load and lose everything for a little push to maybe make the playoffs, and then you don't, and then you look like Tree looks like an idiot again. So it's he's done a great job the way that he's built the team this year with pretty good cap hits everywhere. It's kind of spread out for once, aside from Willie and Matthews, but that looks pretty sweet. And like if you're gonna get somebody for D, like if you're gonna get Dougie Hamilton, like I don't really want him at all. I don't want to touch that. There's something wrong there because I feel like he's a problem in the locker room in Jersey is what I think. I don't know, obviously, but I don't know if he's getting shipped out of Jersey. He's a $9 million cap hit. They probably don't want to retain anything. And if they're trading somebody, and the only thing I would do if I was going to make the trade, if we're in a certain position, is I would potentially trade Stolars for him straight up because Stolar's from Jersey, he's from Toronto. I mean, the cap it will kind of suck, but like if we're actually like right in there, like second in the Atlantic or something, you got to get somebody for a little bit of a push here and the guy that would stay right for a couple of years.
Yeah, but I think I think what you can do though is you can let the group ride this out and say, hey, you guys got to battle your way through this. Obviously, it's one of those weird things where like early on in the season, Brad Treliving, when the thing wasn't going well, was sitting there saying, yeah, I'm the one who assembled this. This is on me. And now that it's going, I think he can almost sit there and say, I'm the one who assembled this. I believed in this group. That's why I didn't go out and add pieces and make trades and get guys out of here and panic. And that's why I signed these guys because they're playing this way right now. I always believed they could play this way. It just took a little longer than I wanted to get there. But I think you can kind of let the group figure itself out as a group and with the guys in that room. And then you make a determination if they get themselves into a position where they deserve to be rewarded. Obviously, to an extent, Brad Treliving might feel a little bit of a responsibility to help them get over the hump because he could say, hey, the problem you had early on in the season was partly me, and I'm the one who made big changes and moved a lot of pieces around. But I think if he lets this thing ride out, like Matias Michelli turned into a guy that you can trust here and put out and can produce. Max Domi and Bobby McMahon finding their legs with Auston Matthews, Easton Cowan coming into his own. Troy Stetcher, the waiver pickup, it's worked out pretty well. The acquisition of Brandon Carlo after his surgery has kind of been effective. Like he's become the player you thought you were trading for. I thought Brandon Carlo had another really good game here tonight, and I think he's been really good over the last week or so since his return. So I look at those pieces and I think, hey, Brad Treliving thought this is what he was getting when he made this team. It took a long time to get there. Injuries didn't help. Losing a big piece and having these guys start the way they didn't help. Special team struggling didn't help. But now you've gotten things on track, and I feel like there's probably a little bit in him that sits and says, well, I thought this could happen. Now, if you guys can get yourself into the right spot, I will give you players to help you because I will reward you for the play that you've had. But I don't think you should just go out and do it to be like, well, let's fix this thing and let's get ourselves in the playoff. No, let this thing play out and then deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. And like the only other two guys out there that I'd look at obviously would be Anderson if you can get him for a good price, which won't happen.
Yeah, which won't happen.
So he's probably going to go to Boston, and then he's going to knock us out around Game 7, and we're gonna be crying again. So just the only guy I'd pick up, and I hope that he's on the plane with the boys, is Luke Shen. Like, you got to get Luke Shen back to Toronto. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, throw him a fucking 4th-round pick. Take him to Toronto.
Yep. I mean, I would like Luke Shen as well, even just for vibes.
Exactly.
If you can get him cheap, if he can bring in vibes, if he can think about this, if Luke Shen can play in the Philippe Myers spot for the time being, and then he can be your 7, you're in a better position than you are right now. That's
exactly what I'm saying. Like when Luke Shen was there, when they went like to the postseason with him, like he looked great the whole fucking time, and it's like. Now he can play on the bottom rope pairing and actually be effective, and like he can go with Rielly again and protect him again, and they have a solid line together.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else here, Zach, before you get off?
Nah, man, that's it. Thanks for having me again.
Appreciate the call, as always. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will pass along the message to Rosie, and as always, great name, buddy. Great name.
Great name. Have a good night.
All right, you too, Zach. There you go. Great call from Zach there. Just a couple things to add on before we go to next callers. We got 2 more here on the line. So with the Luke Shen thing, I know a lot of people are pushing back saying, hey, I don't want him back. And bringing up the idea of him being faster or needing faster, more skilled guys who can pass the puck better. I understand, but my whole thing would be, if you know Tanev's out for a while and you can go and get a guy who can slot above Philippe Myers and be more responsible than Phil Myers and has traditionally been a good D partner for Morgan Rielly, why not go do that? Like, as long as he's cheap, why not? Like, Matthew's Purse in the chat says, why do we want Shen anyways? Exactly. Guy gets like 5 points a year max, because it's not about the points that he gets. It's about stabilizing Morgan Rielly. It's about being a better sixth defenseman than the one you have right now. I don't think you have to trade anybody on this roster to do it. I think you can move on from a guy like Myers in terms of sending him down or taking him out or whatever. You know that you're not going to have Chris Tanev for a long time, and if you're relying upon Benoit and Myers consistently to be the guys to fill in, I think you can get a guy in Luke Shen to be more reliable than Phil Myers. So that's kind of why I would look at that. It just obviously depends on the price and how that transaction is going to work, but I don't have a problem with that if it means that OEL and I don't fucking know. I don't know how you'd want to break it down. If you went OEL and Carlo, and then you went McCabe and Stetcher, and then Rielly and Shen, I think that's better than having Rielly, Carlo, which I think Rielly brings Carlo down, and then having McCabe, Stetcher, which is fine, and then having OEL Myers, where OEL is having to carry Phil Myers up so much. And then obviously the other option would be if you do the same combinations as kind of what we just said and what they did for a lot of tonight, and then put Morgan Rielly, with Phil Myers. Like, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare waiting to happen on any given night. And I, again, don't think Morgan Rielly had a very good night himself, but I do kind of like the idea of Luke Shen coming in to stabilize that. And Boy's Soul says in the chat there, something about Shen. Luke Shen has refused to play for this team how many times now? I get he's a friend of the show, but he doesn't want to be here. I'll just say I don't think that's true. I'll leave it at that. Okay, next caller on the line. Merrick. Merrick, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Zach, what's going on?
Pretty good tonight. I feel like we got positive calls. We got positive people in the chat. We got positive super chats. We're one away from 150 likes. People are subscribing. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good tonight.
So you're saying I can't fuck this up?
I'm saying you do whatever the fuck you want because I'm in a positive mood, and I don't think you'll fuck it up anyways. I don't think you will. You've called in before. It's always been great, so I don't think you're going to fuck it up.
No, I hope not. Just for the record, I am not Jeff Merrick, although I wish I was, because I'd probably be making a shit ton of more money than I am right now.
Okay.
So I get that out. It was a great game. You can talk about a lot of things. There's one thing that stood out to me out of this whole game, and it was Scott Lawton in the third period with 3 minutes left after they took that high sticking penalty. The way he was looking at that Winnipeg team about the embellishment by Velarde, legitimately, I thought he was going to kill me through the screen. Like, he was pissed off, man. And to make it better, he goes to the faceoff, gets Taves kicked out, and then snaps a draw back, and the Leafs clear it. Like, what an animal Scott Lawton is, man. I love that guy. I said it last call. I think he's severely underutilized on the team. When is the last time that we've seen a Leafs player be that animated and show so much emotion towards the other team, not their own team? I don't know, man. Like, I love the guy. I think he's awesome. On and
I love
off
him too.
I think he's awesome.
I love him too. I tweeted out after that happened. I love Scott Lawton. I love everything he brings to the table as a player. I love the intensity and the passion he plays with. You can see the off-ice videos with him, whether you watch the blueprint or you see him in the room with these guys in the post-game celebration videos and stuff. And it's kind of funny. It gets brought up 6 1/3 says Naz. It is very Naz reminiscent. It's different, but and he plays lower in your lineup, but it is that, I will never forget Nazem Kadri tweeted out you don't let your dog, you don't let go of the dogs. I'm paraphrasing, I'm getting it wrong, but he tweeted out about, you don't let the dogs go. Scott Laughton is a dog. Scott Laughton, I think, is the heart and soul of this team. And yeah, it might have been a little bit expensive to get a guy who's your fourth line center, but I think what he brings to the table is so much more than just on ice play and production. And you look at that moment that you just brought up. That's a critical point in the game. I believe it's tied 3-3. There's about 5 minutes left, and Matthew Knies takes a high sticking penalty, which I still don't know if he even got him, but at bare minimum, Vilardi embellished the absolute shit out of that one. Everybody on the Leafs bench was irate. I think Craig Berube was still pissed about it after the game when they were celebrating and he was walking across the ice, giving it to the ref. And Scott Laughton comes over the boards. He's going out to kill the penalty, and he is giving it to Vilardi. Just giving it to him. Jonathan Toews steps in, and Scott Laughton, I don't know what he says, but the best I can interpret is he told him to go fuck himself and starts giving it to Jonathan Toews, and he won't leave Vilardi alone. He's just yelling at him. And then what does he do, Merrick? What does he do after that? He kills off the penalty. He's obviously not out there for full 2 minutes of it, but he's a huge piece in that penalty getting killed. Like, if he goes out there and he talks shit, that's great, but then you let in a goal. It's like, oh, fuck, that thing backfired. Now what do you have to talk about? Scott Laughton has brought an intensity to the room. I think he's brought this fire that is permeated through the remainder of for the rest of the group. I think everybody else is picking up off of that energy, that intensity that he has. I think other guys play bigger because of him. I think other guys see what he does and the impact he has on a game, and they get drawn into it as well. Like, I think Scott Laughton brings so much more to you than what he does on a stat sheet, because I see in the chat, Scotty Rotten, here's his stat line from tonight. That's great. But Scott Laughton coming in here and Scott Laughton taking over that room the way he has, he's been fucking unreal. So I give so much credit to Scott Laughton for playing that intense, for bringing that passion, and for doing something I don't think anybody here has had in a long time. And, the one thing, Merrick, too, as well, my final point before I give it back to you on this, is the Leafs have brought in those types of guys at deadlines before, but they've always been on expiring deals. And I think, and this is just speculation, and other guys who played can give me a different answer. Rosie maybe can give you a different answer, but I think it's hard for you to just go into a room and be yourself when you're that dominant of a voice and take over like that at a deadline. Like, I think that it's hard for him to establish himself and who he is and be that big of a voice when you've already got Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews and William Nylander in that room, and for him to just come in and be like, I'm going to be the guy, I'm going to step up, I'm going to have a voice that way. I think that him having another year on his deal has been the biggest blessing of all time, because the first piece, unfortunately, it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. He didn't come in here and perform the way he should have. A lot of the chat was negative on him. I understand why last year, but this year I just kept being so positive about Laughton coming back and what he brings. He comes back, he becomes a full-time piece in that room, on the ice, on the bench, and you can see how differently these guys play. I think that trade has paid off. Trade is paid off. Who knows what happens in the future? Who knows if this team has success? Who knows if he stays? Who the fuck knows about any of it? Who knows if Nikita Grabenkin becomes a Hart Trophy winner? But right now, watching this, I feel vindicated in watching that and giving him the support I have this year because of what he's bringing to this group.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you said they brought some guys in on expiring contracts. I'm going to take it one step further. They've brought some guys in expiring careers. Like, you want to think like Joe Thornton, Max Pacioretty, Nick Foligno. Those guys are pretty much at the end of their careers. Nick Foligno's played here and there, but he's not an effective player, in my opinion, on a good team anymore. Scott Laughton is a fucking effective player on a good team. He can still play. So this guy is not only a veteran, but he can play hockey. Like, he's a good player. So, like, I think it holds more weight when you have a veteran guy like that who's like you said, I think it was you or one of the callers said he's the alpha. I think he is kind of an alpha on this team.
Yeah.
And his play on the ice shows that as well. So I don't know. I have nothing bad to say about him. I'm going to just take this opportunity to say something right now, and this could be considered a hot take, but I'm going to say it anyways. And I want to make sure I word this correctly.
Okay.
At this point in time, on January 17th, 2026, at basically midnight, I think Scott Laughton is a way more effective player than John Tavares. And I think he should be on the second line. Listen, this is my opinion. And as you said last show, this is a show about opinions. So I'm going to stand by it for right now.
So here's my thing. I would just approach it carefully. If I'm Craig Berube or the coach of this team, if I'm the coach of the team, I would just approach it carefully, because sometimes guys can be as good as they are because of the role that they're in. Like, a guy can be a really good fourth liner. He might not be a really good second liner, right? Like, it might diminish there. But where I agree, and it's kind of counterintuitive to my own point, is there are moments that you can and should use him more than he is being used right now. And I know what you're saying about John Tavares. I think you're just seeing the effects of a long, tiring season creep into a 35-year-old JT who's never really had the boots before anyways. So when he does get fatigued and when the season does catch up to him, it burns him a little bit more. But I'm not going to do like a really long answer here on this one, Merrick, despite the fact that I have a few times. What I would just say to it is, I think you can use him in some beneficial spots, or use him over JT in certain scenarios where you can get JT rest. Like, I don't think you need to be using JT in overtime. I think you can use Scott Laughton in overtime because it's 3-on-3, and he's a competent player who's really, he's responsible defensively. He's offensively inclined. He doesn't have the most points ever. I know people are going to look at his point totals this year and say, are you dumb? Look at what he's doing. But he's a guy who can produce. He's a guy who can score some big goals. He's a good hands. I just think he's a responsible player who's good in the dot, who could take that JT role in overtime. The Vegas game, we looked at JT out there late in the game because he's another guy who can take a face-off. Why not let Scott Laughton be the other guy out there? He's a guy who kills all the penalties for you anyways. He's a guy who closed out the game against the Senators in the playoffs on the 6-on-5 and blocked that shot to win that one for the Leafs and win that series. Like, why can't Scott Laughton go out there? So, like, I think those are scenarios that you can use him far more often. In your own zone for a couple of shifts, and then Scott Laughton goes out there instead of JT and takes a draw, and then he's got legs rather than JT having to take a D-zone position. You can use a Fogo in 5-on-5 as well. I think there's definitely some spots to use Laughton more and give him more minutes than what he's getting right now. I just don't know that I would make him a full-time second liner over JT. I just think you can take some minutes away from JT, not because he's playing poorly, but just so you don't use him too much and run him into the ground. Like, I have no issues with JT. I'm not trying to shit on him, but I do agree with you. You can use Laughton in some spots to fit him in and take some minutes away from JT just so you don't burn him out.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think with Laughton, like, I could be wrong, but I think his highest ice time this year was that game against Philly. And I think he was the best player on the ice. So yeah. I think he should be playing more, but I'm not the coach, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Just a couple things on some players. Rielly and Myers, I'm 100% out on both these guys. I don't think I need to expand on the reasoning. Everyone that watches the games can see it. Everyone talks about Rielly. Let's not overlook the fact that Myers played 9 minutes and was -2 tonight. So I'll just leave that out there. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, like, he doesn't really do anything flashy, but man, when you look up at the box score, he's got a goal, 2 assists, and he's +4 in a game that the Leafs win. So, like, I like the way he's playing. I think he's a better version of Rielly. And if you take into account his salary in comparison to Rielly, he's a way better version than Rielly, right? So, really, really like the way OEL is playing, and I think we've needed him this year, to be completely honest. I don't know why he's not on PP1, but then I'll just leave that as well. You talked about JT and Nyes, or you talked about JT, but I'll put Nyes in the conversation. I think these are two guys that really, really need the Olympic break. I think Nyes is clearly injured, and if he's not, that contract is looking real bad. And Tavares, he's just like, let's call a spade a spade by NHL standards. He's just old, right? He needs some rest, right? So, like, I think the Olympic break is going to do those two guys wonders, and I think they will come back very strong, just like Tavares did after the Four Nations last year. So I think you talked about that. Couple more things, and this is kind of non-Leaf related, but it touches on your negative you had about Matthews earlier, where you said he's American, Olympics are coming, and he's coming into form, right? I just want to say I'm a proud Canadian. I fucking love this country, but the USA hockey team scares the shit out of me, and I'll tell you why. At the Four Nations, when Canada lost to USA in the round robin, I told everyone to just relax, calm down. Canada was missing Cale Makar that game, a guy who's probably going to play 25 minutes in the gold medal game. And then what happened in the gold medal game? He plays over 20 minutes. Canada wins in overtime, whatever. But I will say that I think USA was the better team in that game, and they probably should have won that game, especially in overtime. But here's why I'm terrified. In that gold medal game, in my opinion, Auston Matthews was the best player on the ice. I think if you go back and watch the game, he was everywhere that game. And we now know that he was clearly injured, or at least something was going on last season with him. And he was still the best player on the ice. Also, similar to what I said about Makar missing the round robin game, I think we need to remember that USA didn't have Quinn Hughes all tournament, who's probably a 2 or 3 defenseman in the league. Oh yeah, and Charlie McAvoy also didn't play the gold medal game. So I'm pretty nervous, Zach, just about that. I just thought I'd throw that in. Because it's like, I don't know, man. Well, it's going to be a good tournament, but I think we're going to see Canada-US for gold, and I think it's going to come down to one shot again. That's just a sidebar I had on the Olympics since you brought it up. Back to the Leafs.
Well, also, by the way, did you even mention Canada's goaltending and where that's
I mean, it's well documented, Zach. I don't need to go into that. Like, who fucking knows who's going to start, who's going to be there at the end? Like,
I know.
But the only thing I'll say about that is if one of them gets hot, they get hot, right? It's a tournament. Like, you've seen it in the World Juniors before too. It's goaltending can be weird in that tournament. So I'm not overly worried about that, to be honest. Back to the Leafs. So big picture, I think before this road trip started and you were to analyze it, and the consensus was if they come out with 4 or 5 points, it would be a victory. Anything else is kind of icing on the cake. I think that was a consensus among most people. Well, they got 5 points. And to be honest, they probably should have had 6 points because they should have won against Vegas. But at the end of the day, I think they got an adequate amount of points on this road trip, considering the schedule they had, the travel and whatnot. So overall, I think big picture, I think they're in a decent spot. So I'm not too worried about it. I wish they would have got that second point in Vegas. They really tossed that game. I think there was Simpson said it on the broadcast that they're the third team in history to give up 4 2-goal leads in a game. Like, leave it up to the Leafs to be the third team to do that. But anyways,
well, the thing that fair. The thing that I don't understand that I think people are blowing out of proportion a little bit, and I'm not trying to make an excuse, like they blew it, and I expressed my frustration the other day, but they never let the game get tied. Like, that's a thing that I wanted to give them some credit for until the end, by the way, but is like they would go up by 2, Vegas would get close and they would extend it again, and then Vegas would get close and they'd extend it again. So that's just, hey, that's not an excuse, and I'm not trying to like overly defend them, but like I just wanted to give that opinion in here where like they weren't like 3-1, 3-3, 5-3, 5-5. Like it wasn't like that. So that's the one thing I wanted to give them credit for until the end, and then they blew it. Yeah, and then that was shit. But yes, and to your point, I'm happy with getting 5 of 8. It's too bad because I think we looked at this for the most part as a scheduled loss against Utah. I think everybody just wishes they didn't lose the way that they did. If they won, that's a bonus. It's a positive, especially after the game you played on Monday night. But given travel schedule, given where you were the night before and how you played the night before, you expect a loss against Utah. And then the extra frustrating part is just the fact that you were leading in the game against Vegas, and you did have 2-goal leads basically through, and then you blew it at the end. And then you lose to Mitch Marner's team. That's why Leafs Nation gets down on themselves in there. But otherwise, you know what? You're right. 5 of 8 points is still pretty good, especially on that road trip. And for a team that struggled on the road so far to start this season. So it is pretty good.
Yeah, and they're going back to home where they've been cooking. So they got a tough schedule at home, albeit, but they play well at home. So hopefully that keeps up. Just last thing I want to say, and this is, you've talked about this with other people that called in trade-wise. I won't get into specific players, but I just want to point out that this year, I believe you can't go over the cap in the playoffs anymore starting this year. So it's going to be hard to target high AAV players at or before the deadline. So just wanted to bring that up. So if you're talking like Dougie Hamilton, who makes, I think it was $9 million, right? Was the number thrown out.
Yeah.
Might be tough to fit that in. I mean, I don't want him, first of all, but if the Leafs did want him, might be tough to fit that in their cap. So just want to point that out.
The way the playoff cap rules, just quickly on it, is I believe it's just your roster. So you can be over the salary cap, but your roster that you carry in a series has to be under. Like, you can't put the guys on the ice and exceed the salary cap.
Gotcha.
But you can get over the cap. You just can't exceed it, like, in a game with how many guys you have on the ice.
Yeah, that still might be tough if you're trying to get like a Dougie Hamilton type AAV.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I just wanted to clarify for people like what the salary cap thing was. Yeah.
That's all I had.
All right.
Yeah,
good call, Merrick.
Thanks again, Zach. Appreciate it.
You weren't even close to blowing this tonight. You actually, I think you took the show from here to here. So kudos to you.
Well, it's good to hear. Some people in chat don't agree, so fuck them.
Yeah, well, some people in chat just, they want to be angry at the world, Merrick. It is what it is. I thought this was a wonderful call.
Facts. Call in. Right. Call in if you disagree.
There you go. Call in. Merrick, thanks for the call. Look forward to talking to you again sometime soon here. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, enjoy the weekend, man. See you Monday.
All right, there you go. There's Merrick. Appreciate that call. What is happening in here? Why do I see this? Why is Ikis giving his full address? And why is Canadians P asking me to talk about knockoff Pierre Engvall? We're a Leafs show. We're talking about the Leafs game. We're not talking about Pierre Engvall 2.0. All right, one more caller here just quickly before I get to that caller. He's been a topic of conversation throughout tonight, and he was involved in our super chat, in our best bet here tonight. Our best bet segment is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION, NATION. That's promo code NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. Canadians. Pierre Engvall, buddy. Pierre Engvall. Best bet tonight lost. We're back to $0 on the season. We have made it through 69. No, 70. It was close to being good, but 70 best bets. 70 best bets, and we are break even. At this point, we might as well be flipping coins. $0 on the year. We lost tonight. Johnny T over 2.5 shots on goal. I thought he was going to be more of a focal point on that line. No Nylander. Thought the Leafs would get buzzing. I thought JT would elevate, be relied upon. I thought Michelli was going to be dishing to Johnny T all night. Michelli was really good. It just wasn't John Tavares who ended up as the guy getting any offense going. He finishes with 1 shot on goal. So we lose the over 2.5. We lose a half unit, $50, and we are even on the year. 0% ROI, which I guess is better than negative, but 0%. All right, final caller that we have lined up. If anyone else does want to call in, the link is pinned in the chat there. But a guy who has frequented here on the channel, I think, since the day I started, and is still here sticking by us to this day, despite all the bad takes, according to the chat that I have here. Let's get to our guy, Alex A. Alex, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm mixed feelings. My football team got knocked out of the playoffs, but the Leafs won, so it's
Are you a
it's
Bills
mixed.
fan?
No, I'm a Niners fan. So
Oh, okay. I
and
see all these
it was
people
brutal.
talking online about the Bills. They got screwed. I didn't see what happened, so I have no idea. But if you happen to be a Jays, Leafs, Bills fan, aside from a Leafs win tonight, this is probably like one of the worst weeks for Leafs fans. Like, they lose to Vegas on Thursday. The Jays also in that same day, I think it was, the next day lose Bo Bichette, and then now the Bills lose. So I think anybody who's all three is probably in a bad place. But the Leafs win tonight. I'm sorry about your Niners, though, Alex. I'm sorry about the Niners.
it's all good. Then the Leafs put me in a better spot instead of just having a negative night. At least I can take some positives and then come on to the show. I was like, I got to talk to Zack. It's been a little bit because
It has been.
the West Coast games, right? They've been late, so I've tuned in a bit, but it's like, man, it's too late to call in for me. I got work in the morning, that sort of stuff. So
That's
it is
fair.
what it is. But here we are. Here we are on this nice Saturday night.
You do get a pass for not calling in over the last little while, Alex. It was late ones. When the show starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time, I get why it's tough for people. I get why it's tough.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to a bunch of your previous callers, and just to say, Merrick, your previous caller, I thought he did great. I don't know why people were hating on him in the chat. I thought he had a great conversation with you, and I liked a lot of the takes he was saying. But to say some stuff on my own here, I wanted to ask you, because we haven't really talked about it, I don't think, since last time we talked. Do you think Auston Matthews is back yourself? What do you think? It's a topic of the last maybe couple weeks here, or actually, I guess, since the Christmas break. What do you think? Because we've been hard on him, me and you, this channel many times, me and you. And like I said before, I'm a big fan of him, but I'll be critical when it's needed, which I think it was warranted earlier. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was warranted earlier as well. My answer now, after 11 games and 10 goals, is he's back. I said it kind of earlier in the show off the top briefly, but it's just the one thing for me with Auston Matthews was waiting to see if that success and that brand of hockey could be sustained by him. Every night has not been the greatest night where he scores 3 like he did against Winnipeg and he's the most dominant player on the ice, or having an unreal game like he did against Colorado. Like, it's not that every night, but I watched that Utah game and I thought he played well. I watched the Vegas game. I know he finished -3, which a lot of people were quick to bring up because Alberga had said on the postgame, I thought he played well. I did too. He just finished his -3 in that one. Like, it's one of those ones where the eye test on him and what he was doing matches up a whole lot more with the guy you're expecting him to be. He just happened to be -3 in that one. Obviously, shit he can clean up and be better in. I think the whole team could have been better in that one later in the third period as well. But I thought he was good there again. And then this one tonight, another good game for him against Winnipeg. And the difference for me, and the reason I'm so confidently saying he's back, is because even in the games where he's quieter and isn't dominant for 60 minutes, he is still very dangerous at times. He'll have a lot of shifts where he comes out over the boards, and it feels like anytime he touches the ice, he can score, he can make something happen, he can create, he can be a problem. And on top of that, he can have a quiet night and still score and just keep it moving. Okay, there he is, Matthews, another goal tonight. Did he have the best night ever? No, but you know what that's reminiscent of? Auston Matthews of 50, 60 goal seasons. Auston Matthews winning Rocket trophies, because that is what he was doing in those years. And that's why I feel like he's back, because he still plays really well. Could have been maybe better, but he still scores, he still contributes, and he still has a solid night at both ends of the ice. So Auston Matthews is back.
I agree with you on that 100%. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that because, like I said, we haven't spoken. I know some of the chat I've been reading it, they've been getting pissed off about it, and that's just funny because that's how that's how this show goes. But all good. Another player I thought I'd ask about because I've been a really big fan of his game, and I feel like you've been giving him his praise a bunch in this post game, not specifically tonight, but just in general the last little while. Nick Robertson.
Yep.
What do you think of him overall? Other thing I'd say is, do you or are you interested in extending him? And it's obviously a little early, I guess, to say that because we can wait. He's still an RFA, so we have the that leverage. But what do you think? Are you comfortable giving him a certain AAV? What do you think, or would you trade him for something? I don't know. It's very subjective, right? I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are on that.
It's gonna be kind of a boring answer, Alex, unfortunately, but
All good.
the way I would approach it would just be you have to take everything in context this season. And what I mean by that is like I had other people call in earlier and ask me, do you extend Scott Laughton? Do you extend Bobby McMahon? Do you trade Anthony Stolarz? And my answer to them is going to be the same as you, and it's just about Nick Robertson. This has nothing to do with his play, but it's entirely based on context. Have you bottomed out? Do you fall off a cliff before the Olympics? Are you 6 points out of a playoff spot? Are you 8 points out of a playoff spot? Or are you one back? Are you in a wild card? Are you in a chase? Because that can kind of start to determine what the conversations will be over the Olympic break. Like, you're not allowed to make trades, but let's be very clear here. You can talk to other GMs. You can talk to agents. You can talk to owners and assistant GMs and coach. You can work everything out so that the day the trade freeze is lifted, you can make your moves. So the one thing that it benefits guys with as well is it's a longer period of time than you usually get in the middle of a season where everyone can look at everything a little bit deeper. And that also includes how your own organization looks at everything. Does Brad Treliving look at this group and in a playoff spot, and does he go to MLSE and they're like, yeah, let's make a push. You're 1 point up on somebody, but you're in a wild card. Let's make a push. Okay, now you feel more comfortable re-signing a Nick Robertson, a Scott Laughton, a Bobby McMahon. If you're 8 points out, then maybe the conversations you have over the Olympic break are, we'll listen to calls on Anthony Stolarz. We'll listen to calls on Scott Laughton, on Bobby McMahon, on Nick Robertson, on Ekman Larson, because it gives you a longer period of time to evaluate your future beyond this season, which I think is an important piece of this, because what do you want to be next year other than just saying, hey, this year we want picks? Who helps you next year? How does this work? So that's what I think the answer is, which unfortunately doesn't really give you much of an answer, but I just kind of think you have to be patient this year. Let things play out till the Olympic break. See where you're at by the time you get there. See where you're at by the time the Olympic break is done in terms of guys recovering, the players that went to the Olympics, how are they feeling? Where are they at? Was William Nylander able to play in all the Olympics? Did guys make it through? Is Auston Matthews still playing as hot as he is? Like that is all dependent on what you do at the trade deadline and how you approach things and if you extend guys. So that's kind of a long way to not give a real good answer to your question, and I apologize for that, but that's the best answer I can give, and that's what my approach would be.
Yeah, no need to apologize. I mean, that's a very fair take, and I do agree with it to a degree because, I mean, some people would say, oh, you should wait and sign, like you just mentioned, like see what's going on with the season, or do it early so that you can maybe get them a cheaper number and that sort of thing. But I'm down to wait because I think, this season's very up in the air. We don't know how it's going to go the rest, right? Like, we've been on a good streak of late. Hope to keep that up, of course, right? So, I think we shouldn't really buy. And if we are going to buy anything, it should be very, just fill in pieces, I think, and just ride it out this year, which I think Mark, that was called in a couple calls ago, mentioned that with you. I think that was the conversation he had with you. And I agree with that, 100%. I think we just need to play it out. I think this team is deeper when it comes to the forward lines, which is something we have not had really in the past. which we've been seeing, especially with Willie being out a lot the last little bit with his injury, which has been unfortunate. But hey, that might help us be maybe a better team in the playoffs if that's where we get to, which is what I'm suspecting. But we will see. I think that kind of builds some character on the team, and you had mentioned it with the previous caller, Scott Lawton, helping build that character, and you're starting to see guys just be a bit more physical and wanting to actually stick up for each other and just not putting up with crap like that. So, which is really inspiring to see, which we've been asking for years. And I mean, it's buy-in, and it's very, very encouraging, which I think you would agree on that.
Yeah, I would 100%. Sorry, I got slightly distracted there. The chat are you seeing what's happening in the chat right now, Alex?
Partially, when I was just talking, I wasn't looking, but like just before that, I was looking. Yeah.
No, I look over in the chat, and then we got people saying Mark's a dog. I look in the chat. This guy says it just drops out of nowhere. I like big boobs. All right, Mark.
Who, Mark said that?
Yeah, Mark. Reel it in, Mark. But I just looked at that, and then the chat's going nuts right now. So, I mean, I guess people are horny after a Leafs win. But, no, I do agree with you. I mean, the buy-in that you're seeing from these guys right now, you're kind of seeing them become a team more than ever. It just sucks because you've unfortunately put yourself in a spot where you have to dig out of a hole, because you played so poorly early on in the season, and it took you so long to learn to do this, that the rest of the East was picking up points and you weren't, and you kind of fell behind. And now you're playing catch-up, and you have to play near-perfect hockey, basically. That's an exaggeration, but like you do need to play every night where you're like picking up points because everyone else around you is. So it just sucks, because like this is a team that I think if they were off to a better start earlier on, losing some of these games wouldn't be as hurtful, and we'd probably be feeling a lot more confident about their ability in the playoffs. Right now, we have that level of stress of like, do they even make the playoffs? And that's what sucks, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even have to be like a perfect start to the season. We always start, kind of slow, especially in October. And like, if we just were a bit better, we would have been in a lot better spot. Because like, obviously the East this year is just so up for grabs. Like, it's very close. So, I mean, that's why I'm still very hopeful. And I'm sure some people should be, or everybody should be, I think, especially with the play lately. And, I'm just going to sit here and believe. And I think we do, get some filler pieces or whatnot, like a Luke Shen. I'm very open to that. I think he'd be just a good presence to have on the team. And, we're familiar with him. And just to not have to play Myers, sorry. Oh my gosh, I can't stand watching him. I honestly can't. Like and I understand his expectation isn't to be anything spectacular, but dude, like he's just between him and Rielly, they're terrible to watch, and I don't want to ever see those guys together on the ice ever. But like, it is unbelievable. Like, I think they just need to get someone to fill in. And I think they might go for Luke Shen. I actually think it's realistic, and I could see them doing it for like a late pick and like a late round pick, and that's okay. I think that'd be good, and that'd be something to just kind of, here you go, here's something to help the defense core. Let's see what we can do, and that's I think the best approach that Tree Living can take towards this deadline, unless we go on a straight heater and just keep going and we get into like a solid wild card spot, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It just looks like it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the year here.
Yeah. I'm with you on the Shen thing, and like the thing with getting Luke Shen would be, what are you paying? And I assume it would be something cheap. I hope. And then the other thing is, what is the salary that he comes in at? And how do you make it work? And I think you should be fine. Like, I think it shouldn't be a problem, but it is something that you have to consider. And then the part of Luke Shen that I think is beneficial, where people are like making fun of the Leafs, and I see people saying, you need guys who can help you move the puck and stuff. Well, I look at Brandon Carlo, and I look at Jake McCabe and OEL and Troy Stetcher and think they can move it well. And I think if you put Luke Shen with Morgan Rielly and play them as a third pair, who the fuck cares? Like, you have two left shot defensemen who are playing better than Morgan Rielly. I know you don't want him with that contract, playing in your third pair. It sucks. It's expensive, but like if you can get a guy who can play with him and settle things down as your third pairing, why not? Like, why not go for that? Why not? Because the way I think Leafs Nation should look at it is this isn't the guy they're getting as the solution. It would just be a piece that you're getting to be better for your bottom six. Like, who would you rather have play? Luke Shen or Phil Myers with Morgan Rielly? Because to me, it's an easy answer, right, Alex? I don't know if you're on the same page as that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think he plays a style as well that, we'd like. Obviously, he's not going to be a great puck-moving defenseman or anything, but he's going to be a physical presence. He knows what his assignment is. He's been in the NHL a while, a long time. He's a veteran, right? And I just think Berube would be very on board with having him. I think Berube would play the guy respectfully to, what he would need, right? I don't think he'd overplay him. I think he'd play him just enough, and I think he'd be effective enough as a bottom pairing. Not expecting a top four pairing, Luke Shen like a few years ago with Morgan Rielly, but just something to be able to be in that bottom pairing and not be named Phil Myers. That's it. For real.
And I agree. Like Meg in the chat, I never understand using Myers. What in God's name does Berube see in that guy? He's the defenseman version of Freddie Gauthier. Yeah, he does have that stench to him for sure. All right, Alex, anything else you got for me here tonight?
The only other thing I'd say is, guys, I think we're gonna go on a continuous streak here. I think we're gonna beat Minnesota, as good as they are. I think something about us going against Western teams. I think it was ups and downs a little bit, right? I think we played good throughout this trip for the most part, other than the Utah game, and I think we need to get some more points. I think it'll be a dogfight, but I think we'll beat Minnesota. I think I'll agree with what Mark's granddaughter was saying, Leah, 3-1 win for the Leafs on Monday. I'll stick with that as well. So let's go, guys. Let's believe, and I appreciate having me, Zach.
Yeah, thank you as always, Alex. I like that prediction as well. 3-1, like you just quiet things down in that one. You get a great night from Joseph Woll, who bounces back from his Vegas performance and is ready to go. I like that. 3-1 Leafs. I'm with you, Alex. Thanks for the call tonight. Hope to hear from you soon. Let's make it not as long as it was this last one. I know the Western road trip got in the way, but let's make sure we get you back on here soon.
Yeah, I'll be back on Monday for sure. It's an earlier game, so I'll be able to manage. But thank you, Zach. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Thanks, Alex. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alex A. on the line. We'll get to one more caller here that we've got who jumped in late, and I want to hear from him. He's been buzzing in the chat, and I think we might disagree about something. So we'll see. We'll see when he gets in, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread. But we do have 2 super chats, so I want to make sure I read these super chats as well. I'm going to do the smelling salts here on the post game as well. But let's get to our first super chat, and this one comes in from Maxentius Decimus. Maxentius says, so they did cheat on their wives, confirmed. Just talking about the Sens after that. Lost to the Abs tonight. I don't know. The statement that they put out was insane. I will say that. Mark from Oshawa, loved the smelling salts, or Leah loved the smelling salts. She was happy to call in. I'm glad she was happy to call in. I'm glad she likes the smelling salts, Mark. Thank you. And we will get to the smelling salts here now before this final caller. So 150 likes here on the post game. Let's get to 200. Why not? But we have 169 right now. 69. Nice. Way to go, guys. Here are the smelling salts. These ones burn a little bit more. Whoa. All right. Final caller. Been buzzing in the chat here for a while. Let's get to Boys Soul. Boys Soul, what's up?
How are you, brother?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. It was a great night, of course. Can't complain too much.
Nope, can't complain. Feeling good after a win. It was sketchy early on. I think at this point, Boys Soul, I feel like every game we go into, I don't know if it's just me, but if they are losing, I get this like gross feeling in my stomach where it's not like, oh man, they're losing, like I can't stand them losing. It is what it is sometimes, but just they need points, Boys Soul. They need points. So early on in this game, I'm like, damn, they're gonna lose. We're not gonna get any points, and it's just weighing on me. But they come back, they win this game, and I could not be more happy with the resiliency of this group that they're showing.
Hey, I get it. We need points, but sometimes points just don't seem to be enough in this goddamn division right now. Every single Atlantic team is getting points. It is nuts.
I know. Every night, everybody gets points. Like, look at this one here tonight. Obviously, the Sens are further behind you, but they're 6 points back, falling out of this thing here a little bit now, but they pick up a point. The Montreal Canadiens go to overtime, pick up a point. The Bruins win points. Sabres win points. Like, everyone just picks up points every single night. You have to keep winning.
I think I said it last time I was on as well. It's not necessarily about just all the winning. You have to leapfrog all these gosh darn teams too. And that seems so much more difficult the later in the season you get. Trying to jump teams that are also getting every single point, clawing away. It's so nice to see that at least Florida and Ottawa are dropping off. We've got actual genuine competitors dropping off. That's nice. Is it going to last?
Yeah. Look, that's a good point. One thing here is that it's nice to see the teams behind you starting to fall off a little bit. Like the Caps were ahead for a while. They've stayed stagnant for a bit. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. The Flyers have dropped off. They've lost 5 in a row, 3-6-1. The Blue Jackets, obviously 4-game win streak, and they're kind of creeping back up, but they're still farther behind you. The Sens fall off. They're 6 points back. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. 4-6 for the New Jersey Devils in their last 10. The Rangers, I think, are just cooked at this point. Like, it's nice to create some separation, because there was a long time where the last place team was 7-8 points back of their division leaders, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? At any point, anybody goes on a run like what Buffalo did, and they can creep in. But it is nice to have that. It's tough, as you said. You got to leapfrog teams ahead of you, and they keep winning.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting to a point too where there are going to be sellers, there are going to be buyers. We're obviously in all these conversations for where we did disagree in the chat with the Luke Shen thing. Dougie Hamilton, I'm very against him.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that quickly. So, let's talk about that. Why did you disagree with Shen? Let's go about it. I want to hear about this.
My post was, the guy's been here how many times now? He's never wanted to stay. Every time he's had the chance to be signed with us, he's left. Sure, it's for more money, an outrageous amount of money, but he had a chance to be a part of a potential championship-winning team, in theory, in Toronto. Hammond O'Reilly walked. Like, I don't want him back. I don't want him back. That's all.
Okay. So the first one, what I will say, he was traded, right? The first time he left, he was traded.
Yeah, of course, for JVR, yeah.
Right. Okay. So that one I don't put on him. They got pieces back.
Me
and they
neither,
got stuff.
of course.
So it is what it is.
Fair.
In terms of other opportunities to sign in free agency, okay, sure. I'm not going to disagree with you there. The last one, I'm going to separate him from O'Reilly. I know O'Reilly walked too and went to Nashville, but the reason I separate him is because the Leafs wanted him back. He wanted to come back. But where I understand from his perspective is Nashville was supposed to be really good when he signed there. He didn't just sign for money. No, I know. Hold on. They offered him significantly more money and no tax. So
you're right.
Like, the thing is, if somebody, let's say you get an offer from job A and job B, and they're both, in theory, Nashville obviously didn't turn out to be as good, and he is not there anymore. But in theory, on paper, they're both supposed to be as good. You get to live in some warmer weather, and you get to make 2, potentially 3x what you would have made in Toronto or in place A, and you can make that in place B. I think everybody taking a step back is going to take that deal as well. So
sure,
I get it, and I would have loved for him to come back as well, but I completely understand, because you also have to understand, for these guys, some of it is about their life and setting themselves and their families up for the future. And it was his last chance to get a ticket, where he was left a lot more, where he was given an opportunity to take a lot more money. Like, he wasn't penny pinching and took $500,000 more to go to Nashville. I know that for sure. I know he was offered a substantial amount more than what Toronto was offering, and they don't tax. So that's where I give him the break on that.
I totally get a lot of that. There's two little points I would like to make about that.
Yep.
One, he took substantially more money to play for a different team in a tax-free area, which is obviously, like you said, very intelligent. Why in the flying fuck would we pay that much money for him now when he's not nearly as capable as he was when we were trying to get him? He is playing way worse than he was when we had him.
His salary is retained by in the Winnipeg deal.
It was? Oh, yeah, that's fair. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So is his contract still worth what he is right now? Maybe not.
No.
I will give you that.
No.
But he's not what he was in Nashville money-wise. So that's where I'm going to...
Just to clarify, I cannot remember right now. I don't think Winnipeg can also retain on that deal, can they? I think it's only one team at a time now, right? On per contract?
I don't actually know.
I thought they changed it. Otherwise, you could also get him at more retention on what he's already been retained, which would be an absolute game changer.
Yeah, which I would be interested in what Winnipeg would want to do there, because they're not in a position to make playoffs, and this could just be a tail-off season, and maybe they get a 5th-round pick instead of a 7th for him if they retain.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know, but I get what you're saying. I can't speak to it. I actually don't know the rule, and I should look at it. I just don't know.
I feel as though they changed it, but I also didn't look into it, and I'm quite inebriated, so it's difficult to take me seriously.
No, I do think they changed the rule in terms of the retention, but I don't remember if that started now or exactly how it works. So I just can't speak intelligently or and be very educated on that conversation.
Okay, let's say we get Luke. Who does he push out of the lineup right now when we've got a fully healthy squad, in your opinion?
Phil Myers.
Phil Myers in a fully healthy squad? I guess that's taking Tanev out of the lineup.
Well, Tanev's out for a while, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking playoffs is when we're going to want a full healthy squad, hopefully.
Yeah, but would you not rather have Luke Schenn be your 7 than Chris Tanev? If Chris Tanev comes back, I mean, instead of Phil Myers? Like, think about that. In your depth chart, if Tanev comes back and is healthy and he fills out your roster and you've got, however you want to shake it up, let's say it's McCabe,
Rielly, Tanev, Carlo, OEL, Stetcher, McCabe, and you've got now our guy coming back. So he's taking Stetcher out, and we've got Benoit, actually.
No. You would use him as your 7th. Like, if Tanev comes back, he goes as your Schenn goes as your 7th, and then Myers is pushed out, and then Benoit is also like in that same conversation. Like, I think that puts you in a much better depth position than anything before, and it just eliminates Phil Myers from the equation. Like, you don't have to get rid of Benoit. You don't have to worry about that. Your lineup would then be Rielly, Carlo, McCabe, Stetcher, and Tanev, OEL, or however you want to put them. But, like, those are your 6. And then Benoit, Schenn, and Myers are on the outs. And I think Myers then ends up getting waived, traded, whatever, and he's gone. And then you just have Schenn as your right D for your 6-7 spot, and Benoit in there as well to be a rotating guy in.
You know what? Yeah, if we're moving it, minimal assets for a 6-7 in Schenn, I think everybody'd be fine with that. That's never going to be a problem. That kind of depth is always appreciated.
Yeah,
but it's whether or not we're moving assets for Luke Schenn again, because in the past few years he's been traded for bloody 2nd-round picks, and that's not something we should be paying for guys like that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I am entirely on the same page of, like, it's price dependent. Like, what are you getting him at, and how much are you trading to get him? Because if it's really expensive, like, no, don't make that trade. Don't go do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But if it's a cheap piece, then sure, why not? Like, it can effectively, like, your 6, 7 picks, round picks are hit or miss. Like, yes, it's nice to have the pieces and they develop into something, and to hit on the guys when you do, but like, they're harder to pick on. Like, they are late round picks for a reason. So, or late draft picks for a reason. So, if you're going to get a guy to be a depth piece and be a piece that can hold you over until Tanev returns, who cares? Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable theory. Like, the reality is half the fan base wants a Luke Shen type player. Half the fan base wants a Dougie Hamilton. I would like a guy like Jacob Trouba, not because he's a good defenseman anyway, but just because I know he'll elbow somebody in the face, and that's kind of what you need against Florida, who's not going to make the playoffs anyways, so why are you building a team against them? It's a really tricky league, this one, you know? There's just so much going on.
It is. And, like, that's just kind of what I look at Shen and why I'm okay with him coming back here and bringing him back to this team is, you know, I think he's a reliable defensive piece. He doesn't move the greatest, but he's not a bad passer. Like, he's not the best guy at getting pucks up in transition, but he's good enough to be able to make a first pass and get it out of the zone. I just think he could help out Rielly. He can play on your third pair, and he can play above Myers. So that's why I think that. What else you got, Whistle?
Not much, to be honest. You guys, again, always fucking kill everything. You guys are so thorough. I'm just kind of sick of, letting our piss poor GM trade for 30-something-year-olds, plugging them into the lineup for half a year, and then being like, didn't work out. Guess we lost all those assets for nothing. And then moving on to the next year and trying the same bloody thing every deadline.
Happened with both GMs. It happened with both GMs.
It did. Yeah, it's not the current one. It's been a thing where for some reason we just think the media, and I know you're a media guy, but the media seems to come up with a name and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the best name in the world. Let's go back to the buffet line and we'll just trade for that guy.
Yeah, I think that those names get brought up though, not just this is not just to defend myself or media or whatever. I think those names just get brought up though, not just because like, oh, then media picks a name. I think it's because those are the guys that are legitimately available, and so we talk about them because they are actually available. Like, otherwise, I would bring up other guys who are maybe less available and say, hey, go get those guys, and maybe somebody could surprise you. But it's like, you can only trade for the guys that teams are making available, and the reason the media talks about them is because they know that they're available.
But why does that make me miss the old Lou Lamoriello days where we didn't know shit and we were always shocked when something happened?
I mean, to an extent, like, this is information that's not coming from Brad Truliving, I wouldn't think. This is information coming from people in Winnipeg or other teams who call on Luke Shen and they tell insiders and media people that they're available. So that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's just a lot of fun for me every day to deal with the Leafs, and I think for most of the fans it should be a lot of fun. But I see in the chat some of the fans from other teams just love the Leafs even more than we do, and that's what makes it even better.
The chat is fun. The chat is fun to watch throughout the course of the show. I do love the chat. That's what makes the show good. Boysel, anything else you got for us here tonight?
Nothing, brother. Your beauty as always. Thanks for even putting up with me for a moment. I love it.
Man, there's no putting up with you. It's fun to chat with you. It's fun to have you call in. So thank you as always. You enjoy the rest of your night and look forward to our next call.
Cheers, boys. Have a great night.
Voice Soul, appreciate it. As always, a great call here on the post game. With that, that'll actually wait. We got one more. Let's see who this is. It's Zoom user. Zoom user, is this Mark from Oshawa?
Yeah, I don't know why it's showing up as Zoom user. Do you know why?
Right. No, unless you just don't have a name registered. Mark, I don't want to make this short or kick you off quickly, but you did call in already and give your thoughts, so I'm just let's make this quick. Give me one thought and then you're done.
Yeah, no, I was gonna be quick to begin with. Leah wanted me to say thank you for letting her talk. And the other thing is I heard the other guy saying about Luke Shen, like, why would anybody want Luke Shen back when we had him and he left. I know he left for more money, but if he really wanted to stay in Toronto, then why didn't he re-sign? Like, I'm not in favor of bringing him back. Like, I know he's a good defenseman. I know what he can do, but I don't agree with bringing him back. Like, you're not winning a cup this year. So what would be the purpose of doing that? And even if you did, he's likely only coming back for this year, and then he's going to be gone again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying they're winning the cup. I'm just saying I don't think it's as easy to say they're not. I don't think there's anybody in the Eastern Conference that they can't beat. So, I think people look into he left too much. He got way more money, and it wasn't to go to an awful team. They ended up being awful, but they weren't supposed to be. Everyone thought that Nashville was going to be really good after they signed all those guys and loaded up on that team, including the guys who went there. They thought it was going to be a good team. It's not like he went to a team that was rebuilding and thought, hey, I'm just going to chase the bag and leave Toronto. He went to a team he thought was going to be good, and he got a lot more money. So I don't have a problem with that. But all right, Mark, thanks for the call. I'm going to let you go after that one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why it's showing up as user, because before it was showing up my name, but
that's all good, buddy. It's all good.
Thanks a lot for taking the call. I appreciate it.
No problem. There you go. Mark from Oshawa. Another great call. Second one of the night. Mark is a repeat call and call back in guy. Call and call back in. You got to respect it, though. All right, a couple last things to close out the show here tonight. Let's go to Crave the Stats. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, the BOGO Brisket Hatcher, Kibo Sushi, the BOGO California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, the BOGO Traditional Wrap. BOGO, of course, is buy one, get one. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Make sure to head on over to Uber Eats today. Still time, people. Still places that are open late. Check out Uber Eats. Stats of the day. Let's just run through box score here quickly. Take a look at what everybody did. Auston Matthews, 1 goal, 1 assist, finishes +2 on the night. 5 shots on goal, 21 minutes and 38 seconds of time on ice. I thought he had an excellent night. Another guy who I thought was really good was Easton Cowan. No goals, but he did have an assist. He's +1. He had 2 shots on goal. He played 10 minutes and 53 seconds, which is the second least of any forwards. Calle Jarnkrok, actually, the only guy who played less tonight. He played 10:29. He had a -1. Matthew Nyes, -2 in this one. John Tavares, -1. Matthias Michelli, -1. Michelli finishes -1. I actually thought he played good, well tonight as well, so I want to give him that credit and just kind of say, hey, I know we finished a minus, but I'm not going to harp on him here. McMahon scores here tonight to tie the game. Max Domi gets the OT winner. He gets an assist as well, finishes +3, has 5 shots on goal. And then your defense. Morgan Rielly, 2 assists, finishes even, which tells you a lot about his defensive side of the game. And then there it is. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 1 goal, 2 assists, +4. The Leafs win 4-3 in OT, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson finishes +4. He has the second most minutes of all defensemen and all Leafs players tonight. He has 25 minutes and 10 seconds. Jake McCabe, 25 minutes and 30 seconds. Those are your box scores for tonight. Oh, wait. Actually, I have one other thing I want to read. Team stats tonight. Leafs, again, dominate the faceoff dot, 61%. They go 0 for 2 on the power play, but the penalty kill holds strong, 3 for 3 for the PK. The Leafs outshoot the Jets tonight, 37-30. They out-hit them as well, 21-17. And then on the in terms of penalty minutes, they did take more penalties than the Jets. The last one I thought was a bit of a joke. Takeaways in this one, 5-2 in favor of the Leafs. Block shots, 11-11. Those are the ones I wanted to bring up here tonight. Oh, the other piece, 23 giveaways for the Leafs, 13 for the Jets. You think about some cleaned up giveaways here, and maybe this thing doesn't have to go to OT. Maybe you don't have to climb from behind in this one. All right, Last two things that we got to do. They're staples of the show. They've been here for a long time, and they will remain for a long time unless people demand they disappear. Let's go to our play of the game. Play of the game. I'm going to go with the Auston Matthews bar down. This is a guy who's playing out of his mind right now, especially considering how he was at the beginning of the season and dating back to last year. The production you're getting out of him, 10 goals in his last 11. I just think he's looked amazing. That shot was vintage Auston Matthews. That's Connor Hellebuyck. He's a 2-time Vezina winning goaltender. It's not some scrub in net. The Leafs found a way to get it done against a team who's won 4 in a row. You're on your final game of a week-long road trip where you did some hefty travel, Colorado, Utah, Vegas, Winnipeg. You dealt with some late time zones and late start games, and your body clock can take a while to adjust, and yet the Leafs beat the Colorado Avalanche. They get a point out of Vegas, and then they come from behind to beat the Winnipeg Jets here in this one and end the Winnipeg Jets winning streak, which just all in all, it's positive stuff for this team. And Auston Matthews producing at the rate he is and scoring that kind of goal, I think it just continues to instill confidence in Maple Leafs fans and in the Toronto Maple Leafs locker room as well. So that's my play of the game. Honorable mention, OT. The goal that was scored, Max Domi for not forcing a pass back to Auston Matthews, which I was terrified that he was going to do. I thought that once he received that one, he was going to think this is a perfect opportunity to get Hellebuyck biting and pass to Auston Matthews, and instead he shoots it into the empty net. A beautiful pass by Matthews. He knows Hellebuck's got to play him straight up. He's not going to be able to cheat to the pass. Gets everyone to bite, and then throws a perfect pass to Max Domi. Tucks it in the empty net. The post-game comments were funny. Max Domi about shooting and scoring that goal and getting the pass from Auston Matthews. He made a joke about him passing it back to Matthews, but he ends up shooting and wins that one. So glad to see that. And then the OEL goal to make it 3-2. Just an honorable mention there. Great play by Cowan in transition to get up ice. Hits Nick Robertson on a beautiful pass in motion, driving up across the opposite side. And then Nick Robertson to hit that little button hook on the wall to peel back up and then feed OEL on a beautiful pass cross ice, driving in to rip that thing far side top corner. And Nick Waugh to provide that little mini screen as well. Just great play in general to get up ice, and then a beautiful finish by OEL. So that's another honorable mention. And final thing before we close out this show is obviously reminding everybody, if you haven't already, like and subscribe here. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Continue to hit that subscribe button. Check us out on all podcasting platforms, the Leafs Nation After Dark. But the grade of the game, B+. B+. I see people with B minuses. I get it. It wasn't the prettiest game, but you went down 3-1. Your penalty kill came up huge. Auston Matthews scores. Ekman Larsson has a hell of a game. You come from behind. You pick up 2 points. I can't be mad at that. I wish that they didn't get out to that deficit. I think this could have been a lot more of a comfortable win had you started from the beginning. Francesco Pinto giving it an F. 2 points in a come from behind victory, and you give it a F. Wow. Okay. I don't care that Winnipeg is last. You won. B+. B+. I see a 6 and a third gives it an A. Matthews Purse gives it an A. I understand people being optimistic about this one. I don't have an issue with the A's. I just am personally going to go with the B+. That's it for the show tonight. Thank you to everybody who watched, liked, subscribed. Thanks to all the callers here tonight. Thank you to all the super chats in here as well. I will be back on Monday for another game preview here on this channel. I will also be back following the game for another post-game breakdown after their Monday night game against the Minnesota Wild. So we'll break everything down there. I'll see if maybe Rosie can stop by on Monday night's show. But you'll have to tune into the channel and subscribe here to find out. We'll break everything down then. The boys will break down everything from this weekend here on Leafs Morning Take on Monday morning. And then I will follow throughout the rest of the day with more content myself. So thank you so much to everyone who's watched, participated, called, all of that good stuff. We'll see you guys back here on Monday following the Leafs game against the Wild. This was game 48 against holy shit, I can't get this out. Against the Winnipeg Jets. Come from behind 3-1. Win in overtime 4-3 to get yourself nowhere in the standings. Still at 56 points. 1 point behind the Sabres, who have 57, and 2 points behind the Bruins, who have 58. Regardless, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys on Monday. Keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so